This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
When protecting your family is your priority, there's nothing more important than a roof above the people you love. Call Tommy B. Butts Jr. Enterprises.com, 954-735-9826 or 954-394-1411 and ask to speak to Tommy, the owner. They specialize in all kinds of roofs, led by their highly crafted, skilled, and professional roof mechanics. All of their previous customers have an opportunity to enter their bi-weekly drawings to receive free an exterior impact metal door. Please call for more details. That's Tommy B. Butts Jr. Enterprises.com, 954-735-9826 or 954-394-1411. Trust Tommy to fortify and protect what's most important to you, your family. Sports Grill on Bird Road, Miami Lakes, and their newest location in Doral is now hiring. If you're looking to join a great company and South Florida institution, give them a ring or drop an email. Sports Grill is hiring all kinds of positions from hostess to servers, bartenders, or join the kitchen staff to craft some great food for their amazing customers. Please send your resume to m.cruz@sportsgrillmiami.com or call 305-219-5726. That's 305-219-5726. Sports Grill. Good food, good drink, good friends.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646. You move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
Why is it that you get locked out in the worst moments of your life?
Where are my car keys?
Man, I can't find my house keys.
In those frustrating moments, you need a locksmith you can count on. A. Lenny Locksmiths in South Florida, from Miami to Port St. Lucie. In Central Florida, A. Lenny locks it down in Orlando and Tampa Bay. Lockouts or lock changes for home or business. Car key replacements and programming all model cars. 24-hour service. Call them at 855-869-5625. Go to the website at alennylocksmith.com.
Expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
The Big O Radio Show is brought to you by Sports Grill. Good food, good drinks, good friends. Craig's Inn Acura of Pembroke Pines, the #1 volume Acura dealership in the Southeast United States. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department. The FLPD is hiring. Go to FLPDjobs.com.
When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Oh, wait. I'm not supposed to play. I'm sorry. Wrong one there. That's not how we're supposed to start the show. That was just, let's just start all over again. Let's just start the show all right. Anyway, so welcome aboard. Yeah, our Panthers have let us down. Huberdeau and Barkov continue to be absolutely, I don't know. Is Huberdeau and Barkov, are they in Vegas right now replacing David Copperfield? Just wondering. That's all I'm saying. I'm wondering. It's essential that they get their asses moving. Sean Williams and the great people at Essential Moving Services, they're always there, bro. They are the experts. They will provide it for you. But Huberdeau and Barkov aren't providing anything, bro. Don't give me that he had an assist yesterday, please. Enough already. The guy hasn't done anything the entire damn playoffs. Neither guy has shown up in the entire playoffs. But anyway, so it's one of those bittersweet mornings, right? Because the Heat, stepped up, and some of you were already panicking at halftime. I was like, relax, dude. The Heat played a garbage first half, and they only trailed by 8 points. I kind of felt pretty good about the halftime because I don't know how Boston could play any better. I don't think they could play any better in a half. And that's all they could do, lead by 8 points after Miami played like shit. I was like, yeah, you know what? Relax. Let's see what happens in the second half. Sure enough, they turned it up and it was all over. The loser talk I did enjoy at the end of the game. The head coach for the Celtics. Well, we did win 3 of the 4 periods, and we did win this and win that. Dude, what counts is what happened on the damn scoreboard. You lost. Your guys faded out in the second half. Whatever you want. Stats are for losers, bro. I mean, that's stats never tell the whole story. That's the problem with stats. And I run into that all the time on this show with some of you out there. And the stats don't tell everything. And last night it was just about heart and determination is what it was about. And the Heat had the determination, the heart, the drive, and they just took the will out of the Celtics in the second half. And listen, credit to the Celtics. They came ready to play, but you know why? Desperation was ignited because they were missing two of their players. So once you were missing, one of your guards and your big man, all of a sudden now desperation turned up for them right from the get-go, and they knew they had to be great right from the get, and they were, to their credit. Everybody came out to play. Everybody made hoops. They all made the plays that they had to, and Miami did not come into that game last night with the edge that you need. You got to have an edge, right? That's why you're in the playoffs. There's a reason why the Heat won and the Panthers lost, right? Their superstar in Jimmy Butler, right? Even though he may not be your traditional superstar, the guy plays like a superstar. I'm sorry. It's just because I'm one of the guys that says, hey, he's not really a superstar. He's an all-star, but he continues to play like a superstar. That was a superstar yesterday. And your superstars have to impose their will. And you watched one team have a star impose his will, and then you watched on the other side, in the other county, a couple of stars who continue to fail to impose their will. Think about this. Huberdeau and Barkov have not been stars in the first series, and the team can't score on a power play, and they still won. So now you're playing Tampa. Vasilevsky's playing pretty damn good. I saw Kucherov step up for them with a goal and assist. So, again, your two superstars, so-called superstars, have failed to show up again. Oh, and by the way, the team isn't scoring on power plays. Stars have to be stars, man. It's just the way it is. We watched LeBron James in Game 6 against the Celtics finally come to life and figure it out and say, oh, that's right, I'm a superstar. I'm supposed to carry the team. I'm supposed to put him over the... And he graduated that night. Everybody knows it. He graduated that night. That was the night. That was the watershed moment in his career where he finally kind of shed that I don't know what label you want to call it. Not necessarily choking, but he just didn't have that edge that you need to be that superstar. And he got it that night. You know what I'm saying? Where is Barkov and Huberdeau? Brother, I don't care about the regular season anymore. I don't give a shit about how much you can wow us during the regular season and all of that. This is the playoffs. Barkov and Huberdeau need to turn on the TV and watch Jimmy Butler, because Jimmy Butler is a self-made superstar. This is a guy that started with the construction of learning how to shoot, to then learn how to score, to then now learn how to lead, and to then have the talent and the skill and the will to be able to say, hey, everybody's got it going on today. I will facilitate and defend. Oh, they're not going on today. Okay, I will score. It's a gift, man. That's a gift to be able to look around and say, what do I need to do today to finish the puzzle for my team? Oh, okay, great. All right, Caleb's hitting shots. Gabe's hitting shots. Tyler's hitting shots. Bam is hot in the post. All right, I can facilitate and defend. Oh, tonight we're not getting here, there, or some score. Okay, I got to score. I got to attack the rim. That's a superstar, man. So where are the Panther superstars? And kudos to the Heat superstar who said, I got to take over. I got to impose my will. And I know we've been waiting, the Bam thing, and that'll never happen. That's not he'll never be Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has always wanted to be Jimmy Butler because he's always had the fire and the desire and the son of a bitch in him that you're not going to stop him. from being that guy. So the will that Jimmy Butler has is something you can't teach. You know that person, whether he's an athlete, whether he's the school president who then becomes a councilman, a senator, a governor, whatever. You know that person that had businesses, little businesses while he was in high school, and then grew up and then became a regular businessman and became successful. You know that person. You know the girl that was super creative in school who then became a hell of a success after school because she started to create her own business, her own niche, whatever, and she had this incredible drive. We all know these people. We see them, we admire them, we relate to them, we are families with them, and you see the edge that they have. And that's what it is. It's an edge. We just talked about Gus Machado passing away. That man had an edge. There's no way you get there to where he went if you didn't have an edge, right? That's what it's all about. Liquor Split, great sponsor of ours. What a great concept. People don't have to get behind the wheel and risk getting drunk, being drunk and going to get, liquor. They could just pick up an app. Boom, delivered. It's a drive that you have that you want to Edge energy drink, 78 ounces, smooth, delicious, zero aftertaste. And that's John putting together something because he has a drive. That's what these kind of people are. And they're in all walks of life. I'm about to talk to a guy that has an edge in Ian Rappaport because he competes against other people trying to break news. And that's how life is. Everybody that's successful has some kind of an edge. Last night, you saw it from Jimmy Butler, but you didn't see it from Jonathan Huberdeau and Barkov. And in fact, you haven't seen it so far in the 2 rounds, not against the Capitals, and you didn't see it last night. You watch Mike McDaniel, right? There's an edge to what he does because everybody admires his offensive mind. His former colleagues, his current colleagues, his former players, his current players. That's because he has imposed his will on people. And that's everyone that has an edge has that opportunity. And why? Because they create that stage. I want to know when Barkov and Huberdeau are going to create that stage. They've already proven they're great talents. But now it's the playoffs, man. Now it's the stage that you've got to take it to that next step. Look at Luka Doncic. That some bitch has got an edge. You don't teach that. You either have it or you don't. Ian Rappaport has it. Our Slowmans look around the NFL with an edge. That's next.
Football fans, it's time to look around the NFL. It's the Slowman's Home Security NFL Insider Zone with NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. In the NFL, you need a great offensive line for protection. In life, call 1-800-ALARM-ME to protect your home with the best in the business. Slowman's has been serving customers for nearly 100 years. No one protects your family like Slowman's Home Security. Now, let's find out the latest in the NFL with one of the best reporters in the business, Ian Rappaport.
All righty, there he is, the man with the edge. I was just talking about that because last night, I don't know if you're an NBA guy, but we were watching Jimmy Butler, and that is a man that plays with an edge every single night. And on the flip side, we're the only city in the country right now with an NBA and an NHL team in the playoffs. And they're both playing on the same night. And then we're watching our top 2 hockey guys in Barkov and Huberdeau just still not impose their will. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of stuff you cover every day, man. We find out who has the edge and who doesn't.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a big basketball guy. I have been watching a little, I would say, but not a lot. I'm a big baseball guy, so I was watching the Mets split yesterday, which was a fine result.
Well, they're imposing their will in that division right now, so yeah.
They sure are. But It is interesting though. Like on the same topic of what you're talking about, like you do learn, an exponential amount about players when they get in the playoffs. Like there's plenty who, excel in the regular season and are totally fine and pretty good players. And you get to the playoffs and either they are rock stars, like greats, and become greats in the playoffs, or they don't. And you can tell really quickly which one is which. And that stuff seems to stick with you throughout your career. And a lot of times it doesn't change. But it is interesting how when the competition ramps up, you do probably get a little more info about some of these guys than you do beforehand.
Now, this is a good segue for us because yesterday, and first of all, I don't know where you stand on the whole Tua thing, whether you think he can play or not. For me, Ian, I've never wavered on it. I know he can play. I know he can ball out in this league. I know the way I've looked at it was he's had no help on the offensive side, coaching, talent, structure, play calling, play design. Nothing has supported him compared to what he had in Alabama. And also, I know coming off that hip injury, it takes a certain amount of time to truly get healthy. And I think yesterday, the last couple of days, people have gotten to see now Tua, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. He looks like a different player. He looks better now. He looks more athletic. There's more zip on the ball. Well, time has come now that he has had time to heal.
Yeah.
He has, I believe, real coaching now. I believe the front office has been now, they haven't had any kind of roadblocks in front of them to really design what they want on offense. And now you're watching it. And I think it's going to all come together now. And I think I watched this kid in Alabama. He's got the edge. He comes off the bench and led his team to a national championship. This is and he showed me toughness coming back from all these injuries and a lack of fear being in all these situations. So I'm just wondering, what are you envisioning for Tua now, or are you one of the doubters that think that athletically he doesn't have what it takes to succeed at this level?
No, I mean, I would say I still have some questions. I think athletically he's fine. Arm strength, he's fine. A lot of the boxes he checks and sort of just cross them off, check. I think he's got the tools, certainly enough to be a really good quarterback. The question is he going to be the franchise guy where you say, we are not trying to replace him? And we're going to find out, because this year he's got more tools than he has ever had. And we're going to know. I mean, he's got, I think, a really good coach, someone who knows offensive schemes in a way that maybe wasn't the case in previous years. So we're going to get the best example, sample size, everything of Tua this year, assuming he stays healthy. And I do agree that this is probably as healthy as he has been. And after this year, there's going to be no more questions. He'll either do it or he won't.
Right.
I think he's got a chance to. I think he's in a good system. This is his best opportunity. I'm just not there yet to say he's definitely the franchise quarterback. Hey, I need since I'm on my phone, I need to tweet something. I'll be right back. I don't know if I'll disconnect or not, but I'll be right back.
Go ahead. Don't worry about it. All right. So obviously he's got to break some news, right? So what we'll do is let's do this. Let's have some fun. While he's doing this, right? So he's got to tweet something, right? So let's bring up Twitter and let's bring up Rap Sheet, right? And then what we'll do is we shall wait now for his new one, because his last tweet was the Jags hired former 49ers executive Ethan Waugh as their new assistant general manager under Trent Baalke, right? So now that he's got to tweet out something, let's see what he tweets out. That is awesome. So they're putting J.C. Tretter to Miami. Well, I think he would have told us, right? He probably would have told us right off the bat. I would be. Let me tell you something. I've known Ian for nearly 20 years. So if he breaks the J.C. Tretter story on Twitter and did not tell us that he was signing with Miami before he tweets it out, I would be kind of disappointed. I got to tell you. I would be although maybe his contract also, he has to whenever he says anything has to be on NFL Network air or something. I don't know. Maybe he has a contractual thing, but I'm still going to take it as a little bit of a disappointment if he has to, tweet out something like JC Treader to Miami, but he was on with the Miami people and not telling the Miami people. So we will await Rap Sheet's tweet. So far, I have not seen anything yet. Okay, so far his last tweet is still the Jags. By the way, oh, there we go. The Bengals have agreed to terms with first round pick and Michigan DB Daxton Hill. Sources say he'll sign today. Another first rounder in the books. There we go. So he
All
tweets
right, sorry
it out.
about that.
It's
I
all
was
good.
the tweet was not going through, so I had to disconnect in case there was some sort of bandwidth issue. But anyway, no, let's get back to the Dolphins or whatever.
Brother, you need a second phone now. That's the trick now. You got to have a second phone so you can do these things and then tweet out at the same time. That's it. That's where you're at, bro. The NFL Network's got to spend a couple extra bucks there on an extra phone, bro. That's it.
No, it's not. It's not the phone. It's the. I'm about to go play golf. Actually, today I have a golf match. Believe it or not. So
nice.
Yeah, this is how I'm getting mentally prepared talking to you.
Okay,
I got 36 minutes till tee off time.
I like it. All right. How about Brady? By the way, going to do that roast. I mean, I love this Brady. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he's been a terror for us Dolphin fans, but he is a treasure for all football fans. And that's and I know he's the executive producer of this whole thing on Netflix and all that, but I'm so grateful he got away from Belichick for a short time here, so we could actually see this side of Brady actually, and it's actually fun to follow.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, and it is also like as he, rarely do you see professional athletes as they are playing kind of expand their media repertoire. Usually, it's after they are gone.
Right.
Brady's a little different. He's obviously older. He's had more opportunities. He doesn't sort of need that singular focus anymore, I would say. But his celebrity has only grown as he's played and continued to do these media things, which is all fine. I like getting to know Brady. Like, I think he's probably one of those guys where the more you know, the more interesting he gets, whereas like we thought he was kind of bland in New England. I don't love roasts, though. I think they're kind of stupid. In general, I don't like when you sit around and make fun of someone. I feel awkward. So I would probably not watch it, but I do salute Brady on another, soon to be successful media opportunity.
You and I are different on that one. I love roast. I think they're funny.
I
think
it. You
people are allowed
someone. That's not great.
Yeah, I think I make fun of myself. So I mean, it's all good, man. It's all good. The Drew Brees stuff. He was just messing with people, right? I don't.
Yeah.
I knowing Drew Brees, he's smarter than that. We kind of saw his, father time caught up, dude. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I watched Sugar Ray Leonard and Muhammad Ali and guys hang on way too long, and it's just not worth it at times. And we watch Marino with the bone spurs in the arm and all that kind of stuff. I guess he was just having fun with people. But what is his next step?
Well,
was he not good enough as a broadcaster or something? Because I thought he did a decent job.
Yeah, he was just okay. I didn't love him. The problem is like he was such a great quarterback that you assume these guys are going to be great at everything. You'd hold him to a higher standard. If he was just some random dude, he would have been totally fine in this broadcast spot. But because he was Drew Brees, everyone expected more, and they're like, this is all we're getting. So I think it's a solid decision. I think he'll find if he wants to do games, he can probably do them somewhere else, maybe Fox, maybe CBS. We'll see. I think he was just annoyed that it got leaked. When he was a player, I think he was involved in a lot of the leaking. He was sort of involved with his own narrative. This case, he was not. When we're talking about him breaking 11 ribs, he's the one putting it out. This was the opposite of that. So I think he was just pissed, got something out there to kind of get the conversation turned the other way. And I think savvy-wise, media-wise, it was a totally fine and probably smart move.
Yeah. If you want him to be a guy with an edge on the broadcast, that's not going to happen. That wasn't expected. I don't think. Will Tom Brady be critical? because that's kind of what people are looking for. They're looking for insight going, okay, well what did you have done? You're the great quarterback. He failed. So where did that guy fail? Tell us. And that's where, are you willing to cross that line and piss off some of your fellow, coworkers or whatever?
Yeah, and we're going to find out. My guess is he probably will toe the line pretty good. Romo does a good job, and he gets into it. Like, once, I think what happens when you're broadcasting is, first you're kind of careful and you want to make sure you're saying what you're supposed to say, and then you're watching a game. And when you're watching a game, I've watched games, I'm sure you have, with pro players or ex-pro players or really accomplished guys. They really get into the analysis, but they're not sort of like analyzing. They're just talking about what's going on, and they sometimes criticize. My guess is that Brady falls into that at some point where he's just watching, gets all excited, and goes, why is he calling this player? In the red zone, you got to do that. Like, I think he is going to be animated and good. I think kind of Romo-esque, where you're going to feel like you're watching a game on the couch with him, where he's just really into it. And if you're signing Tom Brady, that is what you want. You want us to be on the couch with Brady while he's watching a game.
All right, the Slomans look around the NFL. Don't forget, reach out 1-800-ALARM-ME. And the first 40 Big O listeners, you get a free doorbell camera. 1-800-ALARM-ME. All right, here comes the two toughest questions of the segment. One, your former beat. So Jerry Jones was bragging that maybe he could sell his team for $10 billion. The question I would have, Ian Rappaport, is how many Cowboy fans by this time are hoping that Jerry Jones actually sells? Because while he brings a lot of attention, a lot of fanfare and all that, the results are just not there ever since the Jimmy Johnson days. So how many in the Cowboy Nation might be ready for Jerry Jones to maybe turn the chapter of the Cowboys over to somebody else?
They shouldn't be. And if they do, I think they don't have a good understanding of where things are. I mean, the Cowboys are now run by Stephen Jones and Will McClay. Jerry Jones is obviously involved, but those guys are making the football decisions. They have been an incredibly well-run organization for the last several years. Last year they lost early in the playoffs. Okay, definitely get it. They are a good team. They're a really good team. And I think they are a team that is actually getting better. The pick of Micah Parsons, I think, was a really good one. Obviously, even though no one saw it coming, this year we'll see. A developmental tackle who's really, really, really talented. We'll see. Maybe they got a great player. They have good depth. They don't overspend in free agency. They make smart business decisions. I understood why Jerry Jones said that. The higher he puts a price on the Cowboys, the higher he puts a price on the Broncos, who are trying to be sold now. I get it.
Right. It gets all of us talking too, which is smart on his part too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But there are people that will tell you, and I'm one of them, it doesn't help to have a press conference after your coach outside the locker room. Jerry Jones is a guy that constantly undercuts his head coach, whoever it is, because in the end, every player knows that coach is not in charge. Jerry is. And so it kind of makes it a little bit of a dog and pony show when they still allow Jerry to do the Jerry type things. And it just doesn't put ever your head coach in a real, like Pat Riley. We know he's the godfather here, Ian. I know you said you don't follow basketball, but dude, he disappears. Spo is the voice. Spo answers to everything. Everybody has to go to Spo.
Yeah.
Riley had his time in the sun. He understands that he has to be away in order to allow Spo to grow and become what he's become, by the way, which is a top 15 coach of all time. Thanks to Riley allowing him to grow. Does Jerry Jones allow his coaches to grow?
Coaches, maybe not as much as, executives and personnel people, but it is what it is. And with the Cowboys, you get all of it. And I think coaches know what they're signing up for. Jason Garrett did not get enough credit for deflecting and nodding and smiling and dealing with all of that circus. I think he was the perfect coach for the Cowboys. It's too bad they weren't successful enough and sort of his offense got stale because mentality-wise, he was the perfect coach. I think Mike McCarthy, is definitely could be what the Cowboys ask for. We'll see this year. It's obviously a big year for him now.
I'm with you there. All right. Last question. Deshaun Watson's talking with the NFL now. And we see, obviously the young lady that came out with her statement about crying, and he sent the text after to apologize, and apparently he exposed himself and touched her with his private and all that kind of stuff. What are we doing here, bro? Is a suspension coming for this guy? Because, I mean, I know we're into the he said, she said stuff, and we want to get into technicalities, but there are issues here, bro. There are disturbing issues here. How does the NFL handle all of this? Because then the stories are coming out that the gambling organizations want to know whether he's playing or not. And it's kind of sad that that's really the priorities when clearly some disturbing stuff was going on behind the scenes. So how are the NFL? Oh, did we lose him now? All right. We lost him. We lost him on the toughest question. Let me see if we're getting him back, because we lost him. Did he have to do another text? Because he had to go break a story during the first part of the segment. So I don't know if we lost him or not. Let me see. Let's see if he pops back, because I know we've got Inside the Paint coming up right now. So I know I've got to throw it to that any moment now. The boys are waiting. We're going to get him now. All right. Let's do this. We're up against the clock. All right. Let's do this. Let's take the break. That's our Sloman's look around the NFL. I'll get Ian next week on that one. I will. And I'll get him right from the get-go. All right. So just in case if he dodged me on that, which I know he didn't. He probably, knowing him, he had to freaking break something else. Anyway.
There was a tweet out from Rappaport.
There's another tweet? There he is. What story did you break now, bro? What'd you go break?
James Bradbury to the Eagles.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
James Bradbury to the Eagles.
All right.
Sorry about that. Two little breaking news stories mid-segment. How about that?
There you go. Two breaking stories in the middle of the segment. All right. So what are they doing in the NFL, dude? Obviously, something disturbing happened between Watson and Solis.
Yeah.
The woman was crying. He apologized. There's twisted stuff behind all of this. And I know we try to hide behind the whole thing of the he said, she said, but how is the NFL going to handle this? And are they really going to let this just slide by where he's not going to feel a real punishment, or the Browns here to start the season?
I think we'll get news before the season. I think we'll get news potentially before the summer. It's going to be really interesting to see what it is. I honestly don't know. If he's suspended, it ramps up the intrigue, though, because then does Baker Mayfield stay? Is he either started for the first 6 games or 8 games or 4 games? Maybe. Is that better for Baker? I mean, there's a lot of intrigue there. I would say the fact that there's no criminal charges is important, but it's not the only thing. We saw with Zeke Elliott, where the league made a decision based on what was going on in a civil suit, not criminal. So we will see. I think a suspension is possible, and he's been cooperative, which is good. But in the end, only Roger Goodell and only the NFL officials know which way it's headed.
All right, let's see what happens. Follow him on Twitter at Rap Sheet. We'll start a GoFundMe page to get him that second phone so he can break stories on that second phone. You can catch him next week right here at 10:10 Eastern and our Sloman's look around the NFL. Ian, as always, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up next week.
Thanks,
Hit him
man.
straight.
All right, take it.
You got it, baby. There you go. Ian Rappaport, our Sloman's look around the NFL. From our look around the NFL, let's go take a look at the ass-kicking performance by the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler with our own ass-kicking Miami Heat and NBA show. It's the Slomans Inside the Paint show. Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro are next.
You've been listening to the Slomans Home Security NFL Insider Zone with NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. With Slomans properly securing your home, it's never been easier and more affordable. See how little it costs to secure your home at 1-800-ALARM-ME. The Slomans Home Security NFL Insider Zone with Ian Rappaport is mastered by executive producer Sean Stanley. Please search and subscribe to Big O Radio Show on most platforms and smash the like button. NBA fans, it's time for the Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. 1-800-ALARM-ME to protect your home with the best in the business. Sloman's has been serving customers for nearly 100 years. Nobody covers your home like Sloman's Home Security, and nobody talks heat in NBA basketball like Ira and Clay. Here's Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro.
All right, here we go. Inside the paint, Ira Winderman, Clay Ferraro along for the ride with you guys, and that's how you start up a series, Ira. That was a lot of fun last night, and I know you were out there. I was actually on Panthers duty at FLA Live Arena, but I had the game up on the tablet, and I was watching it the whole time. And you know, we'll break down the game in its totality as the show goes on, and we'll look ahead to the next game. But I want to start with the obvious, Jimmy Butler. And, you know, I think what I like about these sorts of things is I think people start to get a greater appreciation of him when he does the things that they think are important for a superstar to do, like scoring points and taking it. But when you put him next to the guys who have played for this franchise over the years, and I'm not going to ask you to rank them unless you want to. I mean, if you want to take on that task and put him ahead of Dwayne Wade and LeBron James so that the aggregators can take control of that and run with it. But what he's able to do, especially in big moments, in big games, where does that compare to what you've seen over the years here?
Yeah, he's Jimmy Butler last night and these playoffs has moved himself into the pantheon. And it was funny because I was driving home, I was talking to Dave Hyde, as you know, Clay, with what's going on. First, you talk to your people, you know, at your office. What are we leading with? You got the Panthers, you got the Heat. What are you writing about? What direction we're going to go? Crazy times down here. And, of course, the Dolphins figured, why not have a mini camp at the same time? We have all that going on. But I was talking to Dave, and the point I made to him as I was walking out of the parking lot, which I guess was this morning by then, is I said, Jimmy's jersey is going to the rafters. Jimmy's jersey is going to be up there. Number 22 will be next to his friend number 3 and alongside eventually number 6. Jimmy has locked that in. I know it's only been 3 seasons, Clay. I know you need an enduring time with the team. We know he also has that 4-year extension, so there'll be time. But what he has done for this team to revitalize it, I guess the way you could say it, it's been sort of remarkable. I never thought of Jimmy Butler in these terms. And I've talked to people in his camp. I've spoken to his agent. I said, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not automatically say top 15 player. Let's not automatically say top 10 player. Let's certainly not go to top 5 player with Embiid and Jokic and Giannis. And yet in this postseason, that's what he's been, Clay. He's been everything that every Heat player in a postseason has been. He was Dwayne Wade in that first playoff series against I think they were the Hornets still back then in New Orleans, and what he did. And certainly Dwayne in the 2006 NBA playoffs and finals, maybe not to that degree yet, but getting there. But yeah, what Jimmy Butler has done has been, in Heat terms, pretty much epic this postseason. I did not see this in Jimmy Butler. If you were to tell me, Ira, the Heat are going to need a couple of 40 burgers from Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, I tell you, Clay Ferraro, I like who Jimmy is. He's not a 40-point guy. That's not in his scoring vernacular. I was wrong.
He was impressive. And you know, what I like about it is nothing that he ever does is forced. And I think that there's this, wait, no, let me take that back. I think sometimes he can force not shooting. Sometimes he can force things when it looks like he should be, especially in the regular season.
Or force 3-pointers at some times. I think those are the 2 areas when you mentioned force, that's where I went to immediately.
Yeah, well, and that's something where we haven't seen yet in these playoffs Jimmy Butler have the ball in a one-possession game late, like possession for possession. And that was my one concern heading into the series. And again, we're going to break down the whole series in a little bit, where, you know, if you get possession for possession with Jason Tatum, you've been able to see what he can do in those moments. And Jimmy Butler did it in those moments in the playoff ride in the bubble. And yet in the regular season, sometimes he settles. So we'll run over that bridge when we come to it. But what I've been really impressed with him, Ira, is that I think we all know that he's got this stubbornness about him, and stubborn may be putting it mildly. And sometimes he wants to defer just for the sake of proving that he's right, that he should be deferring. But in these last few playoff series, the defense has dictated that other teams are more concerned about Jimmy Butler passing and getting his teammates to go off than they are about him. So now, it doesn't mean they want him to go out there and score 40, but what they are taking away is what they know he typically wants to do, which is make the right pass and set up a teammate. They basically said, we don't think you can go out there and score 40 and beat us. And he's proven them wrong over and over again. And to me, Ira, I just think that for him to be able to sense that and take over, I've been blown away.
You know, I always do this sort of meter here, and I have these two endpoints, Clay. I have, you can be a Michael or you can be a Magic. A Michael wants to get all the points, wants to get every point. Every game a Michael goes out there, it's a 50, let's say a 40-point possibility. A Magic wants to fill the box score, sometimes at the cost of getting points on the board. I think at times that Jimmy has wanted to be a Magic a little bit more. Get the rebounds, get the assists, get the steals, get the blocks, get everything across the board. I think this Heat team has required him to be a Michael a little bit more of a Jordan than a Johnson. And I think that's what you're seeing. The great ones do that, Clay, in any sport. They take measure of the moment and they see what's necessary. You were a child. You were in diapers then when Magic played center against the 76ers and had his moment there when they had their injuries. But that's what these guys do, is they can morph into the moment. We've seen that throughout these playoffs. Jimmy Butler has morphed into the moment, from defensive pest to offensive impresario and everything in between. The guy is, I know this gets thrown around a little too much, but at least what I've seen of Clay, I'll put it this way, in the last month, he's a basketball savant. He is reading the moment. He is letting you know, hey, I see this, so I'm doing this. And we've seen this throughout the playoffs. And Clay, not to be too typically long-winded here, is that's what you have to do in the playoffs. Each situation is so unique, you have to read the moment. He's been very, very good at reading the moments.
So as the show goes on, we want to take your questions, your comments over what we saw in game one and what we're hoping to see in the next few games as this series rolls on. That third quarter last night, we'll get a little bit more into that. What I found really impressive about it was the first half, Ira, it felt like, and the Heat kind of hinted at this, even though they wouldn't say it directly, they were caught off guard by the Celtics' physicality. And it felt like I'm watching the game, and you were there in person, whereas I was watching it. But I felt like even watching it on TV, I was like, these guys are bigger, they're faster, they're hitting their spots quicker, both offensively and defensively. They're throwing Miami out. The first half, really, Ira, was kind of an and yes. I thought the Heat were really fortunate to be down only 8, and we'll talk about the reasons why in a minute. But something changed at halftime, and I thought it was interesting that all the players said,
"Oh, hell yeah!"
Spo didn't tell us anything. Spo kind of left the door closed and let the players talk. And Gabe Vincent said something. He said, "I think all 17 people, each one of them said something at some point." So I'm saying all this because whatever happened at halftime, there was an avalanche in that third quarter. And, there used to be a term that Heat fans would have for the third quarter. And by used to, I mean like a week ago. But it wasn't that way last night. So when you're there and you're watching that third quarter, when did you sense that things were going to be different? And what did you see in that third quarter that really changed things?
I sensed it from as soon as the clock started in the third quarter. And you could see it in their actions and everything. And my takeaway of that 22-2 run was this. And this sort of changed my thoughts again about everything in the postseason. When the Miami Heat are at their best, they are as good as anyone. Now, Clay, there are times of doubts, and we've seen it. The 2 losses in Philadelphia, the loss in Atlanta in Game 3. When you do question, you do say to yourself, come on, the Warriors are so much better. The Suns are so much better. The Celtics are better. You do have those moments. But the formula they can bottle, that the Miami Heat at their best. Matter of fact, I would put it this way, Clay, because I think this is how I often look at teams. I say to myself, when team A, B, and C are at their best, who's the better team? I'm not so sure there's a better NBA team than when the Miami Heat are at their best. For this reason, the Miami Heat's two-way play and the Miami Heat's ensemble play. So you're getting it on both ends, as we saw at the start of the third quarter, and you're getting it from everyone. Look at that stretch they had. Max Strus a three, finally, when no one could hit his three. Gave Vincent 2 threes when they needed threes because the three-point shooting was craptastic in the first half. You check that box. You have Bam Adebayo, who had absolutely no statistics worthy of noting, but who was smothering on defense. Matter of fact, Bam Adebayo spent more time on the floor than upright last night. Wouldn't you agree with that, even on your iPad? I mean,
certainly.
I think the guy forced like 37 jump balls. There was always a tie-up with him. And then at the start of the third quarter, even before that, we were all looking at halftime. We were looking at the warm-ups. Oh, PJ Tucker's out there. I always look, Clay, at the start of a half to see if there's a lineup change. In other words, so I go through the 5 starters and I say, okay, there's Jimmy, there's Gabe, there's Max, there's Bam, and there's PJ. And I just wrote about this at SunCentral.com. And he basically told Eric Spoelstra, there was no effing way I am not going to be out there for the start of the second half. And he said a genie took care of him at halftime. Now, I don't know if the genie came on the end of a syringe or something like that. That's not for me to say. Or some oral miracle, again, or maybe some vaping. They don't test for certain things. But he was out there at the start of the second half. That told me plenty. PJ Tucker, that son of a bitch, and what he does. Remember this, Clay? You remember, we did our show last week. Matter of fact, interesting timing. Remember how Joel Embiid said, we need a PJ Tucker? We need someone like that. He basically called all of his teammates soft because they weren't PJ Tucker. So honestly, when you're asking Ira Winderman, third person, what he was thinking when the second half started, it was, wow, PJ's out there. And if PJ's out there, it tells you all you need to know about the guts and grit and guile of this team. And then they just took off. Again, the Miami Heat at their best are as good as anyone in the 2021-2022 NBA.
There you go. There you go. Aggregators take that. No, I think with what we saw in the third quarter last night, and at some point we'll talk about what's going on around the rest of the league. And I agree. And I've watched the rest of these playoffs, and obviously Golden State, when they're at their best, they're impressive. And yet there's not a team that can match what the Heat do on both ends of the floor. And with one kind of causing the other, so to speak, like one leading to the other, where when their defense, they're swarming. It's crazy. And so that avalanche in the third quarter, it was everything that Miami Heat basketball is all about. It was defense leading to offense on the other end of the floor. It was the three-point shooting finally going down. It was Jimmy Butler. Once there was a little bit of pushback, he had a couple of steals right there at midcourt. Those are the types of things. There aren't a lot of superstars that are out there doing what Jimmy Butler did with those 2 steals at half. Even though Eric Spoelstra may not want him to do that, as he said after the game. But that's the Miami Heat. That's what he does. And kind of put a capper on the Jimmy Butler discussion really quickly. We have to see how the rest of this plays out. And we have to see if they're able to go on and win a championship. And yet, I've always been a firm believer that what you do in the playoffs has to matter a lot more than what you do in the regular season. Absolutely. Even though we give the awards for regular season, and to the point where I'll do it to a fault, where I am going to die on the hill that I think Robert Horry should be a Hall of Famer. Just the things that he did in the playoffs in big moments, they have to mean more. So if Jimmy Butler is able to do this in 2 postseasons and get a ring, he has to get a ring. Yes. But I think it's the pantheon that he then enters, to me, is a new level where you're starting to think of him as one of the top 5 players in this generation's game, because you can then look back at the things that he does during the regular season and say, okay, we didn't fully appreciate that in the regular season because they don't show up in the box score, which is what we use to measure how good a player is for the MVP award in the regular season. But then when you see it impact winning in the postseason, you see him doing the other stuff that then does show up in the box. It's like, okay, all right, we know now that he can do that stuff. We know now that when he says he wasn't doing that stuff in the regular season, it's because he didn't think that it was the most important thing for this team to grow and win a title. So all of that is what you saw in that third quarter avalanche. And it's the reason why this team moving forward is terrifying for the rest of the NBA.
And just one thing before we head to our first break here, and that is this. But let's also have perspective. Yes, the Heat didn't have Kyle Lowry, but the Celtics didn't have Al Horford and Marcus Smart.
Of course.
Marcus Smart, whether you agree he should have been Defensive Player of the Year, whether you thought Bam should have got it, whether you thought Mikal Bridges should have got it, whatever, we all agree, well, there's two of us. There's you over there and there's me over here. We both agree he's a really good defender, right, Clay?
Yep.
And
a lot better
was
than
out
Pritchard.
Yeah, even Bam might not, but we do. If Marcus Smart was out there, it probably would have, almost certainly would have been tougher on Jimmy Butler. So for as much as you can enjoy the third quarter, for as much as you can enjoy Jimmy Butler's 41, if Marcus Smart can get back from that midfoot sprain, that's going to change a lot. So again, remember Eric Spoelstra told us this in the previous two series. Series take on different lives of their own as they go along. The Boston Celtics without Marcus Smart and Al Horford are not championship level. Just like the Heat wouldn't necessarily be without, say, PJ Tucker and Kyle Lowry for an extended period. So let's pull back a little. The Horford thing is weird. Usually NBA protocols are 5 days after day 0 when you test positive. But Ime Udoka, the Celtics coach, said, not so quickly there. Almost in his best Lee Corso. Not so quickly, my friend, that Al Horford might be back for game 2. We have to wait. We have to see about Marcus Smart. He was moving pretty good as player coach on the bench yesterday. We have to see about that. So I think game 1 had its own script, but I think when the Celtics are whole, there'll be a different script whenever that time comes.
Certainly. And I think the flip side of that is that the Heat won't be caught off guard in the first half like they were in game 1. And so there are so many things that are going to change. And I think your point pointing back to what Spo said about the series taking on different iterations, different lifespans is a good one in that you're going to have to flush this one, put it to bed, because you can imagine that Boston's going to come up with something different to slow down the Heat next series. But I also think that there are a few things that we started to see last night that I think could play out in the Heat's favor as the series goes on. We'll talk about that. Plus the guy who is not getting enough love this morning. That's next here on Inside the Paint.
This is the Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. Check out Sloman's low-cost monitoring rates and how it could save you thousands on a security system at 1-800-ALARM-ME. That's 1-800-ALARM-ME. Protecting your family is your priority. There's nothing more important than a roof above the people you love. Call Tommy B. Butts Jr. Enterprises.com, 954-735-9826 or 954-394-1411 and ask to speak to Tommy, the owner. They specialize in all kinds of roofs, led by their highly crafted, skilled, and professional roof mechanics. All of their previous customers have an opportunity to enter their bi-weekly drawings to receive free an exterior impact metal door. Please call for more details. That's Tommy B. Butts Jr. Enterprises.com, 954-735-9826 or 954-394-1411. Trust Tommy to fortify and protect what's most important to you, your family.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
The timeout is over. The Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint program with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro is back. Access and manage your devices from anywhere with the My Sloman's app. Protect your family by calling 1-800-ALARM-ME. Here's Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro.
Welcome back. Segment 2 here on Inside the Paint. Looking at some of the comments here. Emilio Hernandez says PJ Tucker is today's Udonis Haslem. I like that. I like that.
You know what? I actually, when I was writing that story just now for Sun Sentinel and sunsentinel.com, I almost took that angle of sort of that pantheon. And again, Clay, you were in diapers back at this time, but starting with Grant Long, 34 years.
Come on, I'm not that young.
Oh, okay, but I'm saying, okay, but starting with Grant
I was in
Long,
diapers for the Magic Johnson playing all 5 positions, jumping center game.
Against the Sixers, right. So when you go back to Grant Long and back in his days and what Udonis Haslem did, and P.J. Brown is another name from that initial Pat Riley era, that's what the Heat have always had. And that's what makes the Heat style work, because that's who they are. They are a team that needs to have glue guys to let other guys be themselves. when you think about it, the Heat in this series with a very good defense has a lot of, how do I phrase this? Not very good defenders out there at times. When you have Tyler Hero out there, God bless him, Max Strus, and things like that. But a glue guy can help make up for that. It's almost like when PJ Tucker is out there, when Max is out there or Tyler's there, he has an eye in his second place. Because he has the confidence, I can, as Bam would say, cover my cover, but also help out a teammate. You know, what's the thing of the great defenders you always hear about being in two places at one time? How you hear of a great quarterback keeping an eye on his receiver, but also reading the quarterback's eyes. That's what PJ Tucker is. PJ Tucker makes the other players better. And you know what, Clay? We're going to wind up in the same situation we were 2 years ago. Jay Crowder had way too good of an offer from the Suns. The Heat were trying to save cap space, thinking they'd make it Giannis at the time. They let him go. PJ Tucker has a player option after this year. I don't care if he's 37. I don't care if he's 47 or 57 with the way he plays. You got a 6'5" guy who has almost no athleticism left, but he finds a way. He's a special, special player. I love what Jimmy Butler said last night and what Eric Spoelstra said. He is the heartbeat of their team.
Yeah, and Jimmy Butler, for you guys who missed, he said, I never thought I could fall in love with a basketball player the way I've fallen in love with PJ Tucker. And I'm going to
interrupt for a second. I almost expected for PJ to go up like after figure skating with the bouquet of flowers that he got from Jimmy after the game.
And look, I you know, peeling back the curtain, I love watching PJ Tucker. I love watching his post-game news conferences, the post-game Zooms. He's got the rings on, and you can hear I know you're in the room, so I don't know that you can hear it unless you watch it back, but you can hear the rings cracking together on the microphone. And it's like if somebody asks him a question that he doesn't like or pushes it just a little too far, then you get something like the GD comment that he said. Then you get something like when they were asking him what adjustments they were going to make in the Philly series. Like, well, you want me to just tell you what we're going to do? So I just think he's perfect. And yeah, hopefully they win a championship, and this is a bad problem or a good problem to have when you're trying to figure out if you can. But it's been fun to watch and see how quickly he has become a part of Heat culture, and in many ways, vice versa, right? That he's kind of taken over that role. The guy that I don't think is getting enough love from last night, he's gotten some love, but they don't win the game last night if Tyler Hero doesn't do what he did in the first half. And what I thought, Ira, watching that game was when Boston's physicality was causing Miami a lot of problems early. And maybe it was rust. Maybe it was just that adjustment period. Whatever it was, they needed someone. They needed something. And Tyler Hero goes out there. And look, it's not the 30-point performance that maybe he had in the bubble against them. But they're not down by just 8 points at halftime if he doesn't come out and do it. Ira, there was a point when it felt like Boston may blow them out of the gym in that first half. And when you got somebody out there that was like, all right, I'm going to keep you guys afloat. I'm going to find a way to make this happen offensively. And sensing kind of that moment, we've seen it from Tyler Hero in the past, not necessarily in these playoffs, but we've seen it in the past when nothing else is working for the Heat, he kind of goes out there and finds a way. Ira, I think Jimmy Butler was obviously the biggest story from last night, and with good reason. I love that finally you got the Tyler Hero in these playoffs where he's doing what the Heat need him to do the most, which is kind of taking them out of the mud and getting some points when nobody else was able to.
Yeah, you know, what Tyler Hero did, and I asked him, I requested him post-game for that reason, because I do believe that he was the guy who kept them afloat in the first half, and that's what he can do. And he's also smart enough to get the hell out of the way when Jimmy has it going in the second half. So if you watch, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the postgame. Basically, I asked both of Tyler's arms that question when he shows up in his sleeveless deal and sort of enjoyed the moment. Yeah, and that's what you need. You know what? It's interesting, Clay. For as good a team as the Heat have been, number one seed in the East, up 1-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, chance to go to the NBA Finals. Matter of fact, I'm going to throw this back at you. To me, I only see the Heat with two shot creators, which is remarkable to have gotten this far. We know Jimmy's a shot creator because he's a free throw creator. We know Tyler Hero's a shot creator because he's boy wonder and he creates his own space. Usually teams have multiple numbers of guys like that. But let's look at the starting lineup. You know, you and I have spoken about this for weeks. Bam Adebayo is not a shot creator. He's not going to be a 30-point guy unless it's off lobs and offensive rebounds. We know that. PJ Tucker's going to get 5 points and go, yeah, I had 5 points. Max Strus is a shooter. Gabe Vincent is a shooter. The only other guy you can make that argument for is Victor Oladipo But again, the sample size is so small. His playing time can be so limited, and you don't know. The one thing that Victor Oladipo, I put this way: Jimmy Butler, consistent shot creator. Tyler Hero, consistent shot creator. Victor Oladipo waffles. There are Oladipo games, and then there are times you're just not sure he's out there because he's still working back from quadriceps surgery. So that's what makes Tyler so important. He's the other guy when Boston is playing the best of Boston defense that he can give you something just like Jimmy does. Tyler, if there was not for Tyler Hero's first half last night, Clay, I don't think the Heat would have been able to have that third quarter or possibly even pull out the victory.
Dougie Fresh asks, what do the Heat do next? And we're going to talk about adjustments coming up in just a little bit. As a matter of fact, I think we can probably get to that coming up right here now. Or no, let's wait until the next segment to talk about adjustments. But just kind of like a preview of that, assuming that they go back to Marcus Smart, right? Mm-hmm. And it was obvious that they were targeting Peyton Pritchard. And, it's funny, at one point, ESPN put up the graphic of how many points Peyton Pritchard had in the fourth quarter. I was like, really? That's what's important right now? Not right. The fact that the Heat are absolutely targeting
revolving
him.
Door, yeah.
Right. So if the Heat, let's assume that Marcus Smart is back in this lineup, and this kind of gets to the adjustments part that we're going to talk about. What's next? What did you see out there that you thought, okay, this could also work for the Heat consistently? You're talking about the shot creation, but what is the thing that you think they can do that can get them a win if they're not targeting someone like they were Pritchard?
Well, number one, and we started in the second half, you've got to make three-point shots in today's NBA. I mean, look at the Sixers series. The team that shot better three-pointers won the game. That's what it was. Even the Hawks series to a degree also. That's how the Heat are built. Again, let's look at their starting lineup. Two of the guys only shoot three-pointers. Matter of fact, with Gabe Vincent, three of the guys, their primary offense, okay, for P.J. Tucker, for Max Strus, and Gabe Vincent, you would agree is three-point shooting. That's what they do. Tyler Hero off the bench to a degree, Victor Oladipo off the bench to a degree, and when he's feeling it, Dwayne Dedmon off the bench to a degree from three also. They have to make three-pointers. It is as simple as a make-or-miss league when you play against teams that pack the paint, that are not going to let you get to the rim, that are going to build a wall, sort of, like Boston does, not to the degree of Milwaukee. So to me, that number one is more than anything. But a number two, and a close number two, is play it in the mud defensively. So if the Heat don't score 108 points and don't get over 100, look, I almost thought last night's game was higher scoring than I thought Heat Celtics would be anyway.
I agree.
And when you add in the defense of Al Horford and you add in the defense of Marcus Smart, it might come down that way. The Celtics can add in two more defenders. Kyle Lowry, yeah, he's sort of a defender. He's smart, but he's not the defensive impact of those two. So I think the Heat still have to keep the Celtics down. Basically what we saw yesterday. Let Jaylen Brown get his. Try to contain Jason Tatum. There's not really a lot of consistent or committed offense from Boston also. So I would say what the Heat need to do to win in a Marcus Smart Al Horford game, make your threes, and defend like you did in that third quarter and your best defensive sequences last night.
The three-point shooting is what I keep coming back to, Ira. And it was something I thought about before the series that I didn't think was getting enough play. And I think it's something that will ultimately swing this series in the Heat's favor. And you look back last night, the Heat were 33%. Boston was 32.4%. So it's not like the Heat out. As a matter of fact, Ira, to your point about the scoring in this game, I thought the amount of points was not reflective of the level of defense that was getting played. I thought the shot making last night was insane, even in the half court. And I mean, there were some shots. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were making some contested threes that, like, you know what? You tip your cap and you move on. I thought, especially in the second half, and obviously the score reflected this, the quality of shot that the Heat got was significantly better than what Boston got. Boston just knocked down some wild ones, and credit to them. The Heat did make some tough ones too. That one where Jimmy Butler was in the corner with the shot clock winding down, toe on the three-point line. So to me, Ira, the thing that coming into this series that I thought people glossed over a little too much, but with how each team plays defense is going to be incredibly important. During these playoffs, the Heat have been just mysteriously bad from three-point range, 32%, right? And during the regular season, they're the best three-point shooting team at 38%. 6% difference is huge in the playoffs when you're talking about one possession.
Especially when you're multiplying by three,
Yeah, exactly. Flip that to the Celtics. The Celtics during the regular season, I want to say they were like 35.5%, something like that, 35, whatever it is. They've been 38% in the playoffs. So they have been better. And especially against Milwaukee, a team that kind of lets you shoot 3-pointers. And so you kind of understand why they were able to shoot a better. And that was why they won game 7, because they basically said, Grant Williams isn't going to beat us from 3. Oh, wait, okay, yeah, he did. We're moving on. So I think with the way these teams play defense, if there's a regression to the mean for Boston, and if there is a progression to the mean for Miami, where they shoot, it should not, it's going to be a good series, a very good, it could be a close series. But even with Marcus Smart back, even with Al Horford back, I think the Heat shooting, if it gets back to what it should be, and if Boston shooting slips back to what it should be, given how the Heat play defense, I have a hard time seeing the Heat getting outshot from 3-point range over the course of a 7-game
And again,
series.
you see, to me, and I don't care about outshot. I don't care what the other team shoots. They'll do what they do because they might be shooting 3-pointers and not even trying to get to the paint, not trying to get to the foul line. The Heat needs to be in that at least 35% range and preferably something closer to 37. Other team, whatever. A lot of times we compare what we think are apples to apples, but they're in different ends of the court. Like when you compare two teams' offensive rebounds. No, it's not the same battle. My battle for my offensive rebound is not your battle for your offensive rebound. Same thing on threes. If the Heat get their shooting percentage to where they want and the other team outshoots them, fine. Because then maybe the other team isn't getting in the paint at all. Maybe the other team isn't getting to the foul line. Maybe the other team is working the ball so hard to get those shots, they're also committing turnovers, so we're going the other way, or long rebounds, so the Heat are playing in transition. So again, I think it's more about the Heat's 3-point shooting than the other team's 3-point shooting. Look, the Bucks rode that to a championship last season.
Sure,
the Bucks rode, they shoot their threes, and you can do whatever the hell you want from beyond the arc. You just need the diversity of offense. Bam Adebayo is going to score inside. Jimmy Butler is going to score at the foul line. Victor Oladipo and Tyler Hero will attack and get into the paint. But you have to balance that with the spacing because if you're not hitting, the defense compacted. So where instead of reaching and fouling on Jimmy Butler, they just can build that wall and they're just going to be in his way. Got to make the threes. Max Strus came up big last night. Gabe Vincent came up big last night. And they need more of that. But because defense matters also, that's why you again did not see Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen, guys. I mean,
but they'll keep asking.
They'll keep asking, and you understand it. Look, I mean, especially in the Philly series, when maybe there were some points where you started to get a little concerned about the offense going sideways. But I think Eric Spoelstra has made it very clear that with this core, this group, you can't have one player that the other team can target. And look, Max Strus, maybe I think a little bit more highly of him defensively than you. I think I would argue he's a plus defender, and I don't think like he's above average from what I've seen. And maybe that's it. Like is he the number 5 defender on the floor for the Heat most of the time? Yeah, yes. But I think it's because you've gone from having somebody who was on a scale of 1 to 10.
That's what I want to mention.
Yes. Yeah, a 0 in Duncan Robinson.
No, I was going to say on a scale of 1 to 10 because I'm not as mean as Clay Ferraro. You're an awful person. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I would say Max is a 5, which is sometimes all you need. I think Duncan's a 2, only for this reason. Because the Heat stress team defense, because it's a system defensively that he does play well. Yeah. Sort of reminds me of like when Eric Spoelstra always used to try to tell us James Jones is a good defender, but he still didn't play James Jones. I think it's the same thing. I think Duncan can play within the Heat defensive system, so I give him a couple of points. So I give him at least a 2. But you know what? In the playoffs, again, the little things. The difference between being a 2 and being in the middle as a 5, that can be enough when you have Bam, who's hell, he didn't win the award, he's a 10. When you have PJ Tucker, who's a 9. When you have Jimmy Butler, who's a 8.5. So, and even Gabe Vincent on the ball, I think we all agree, is at least a 6.5 to 7. So when you have all of that and you put your 5 in there, your average, let's do the math, I'm not, still comes out to a good number. When you put your 2 in there, it drags you maybe below that sort of Mendoza line there.
Yeah, and that's where
it's too old for you, but go ahead.
No, come on, man. Hitting 200 in baseball. Again, man, you're underestimating just how ancient I am. But with the 3-point shooting stuff, I think you need to be able to hit because that's a big part of your game. And I think it's nice when Boston isn't. And, to the point of the defense and all that moving forward, you saw late in the game last night, and this gets back to the original question. If you have a weak link defensively, especially at crunch time, the other team is going to exploit it. That is what Duncan Robinson is, unfortunately, defensively. And so that's where in a series like this, you can't afford to give up possessions. Unfortunately for Duncan Robinson, he's going to be the odd man out. All right, coming up next, what you're hearing, Ira, on the key injuries for both Boston and Miami. We're showing the ear there. And then also, I want to get back to the idea of adjustments and what you might see from both teams coming up in Game 2. That's next, right here on Inside the Paint.
This is the Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. Check out Sloman's low-cost monitoring rates and how it could save you thousands on a security system at 1-800-ALARM-ME. That's 1-800-ALARM-ME.
Shield Home Security System guards your home with next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
The timeout is over. The Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint program with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro is back. Access and manage your devices from anywhere with the My Sloman's app. Protect your family by calling 1-800-ALARM-ME. Here's Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro.
Home stretch here on Inside the Paint. We're going to take you right up to 11:30. And Steve brought up a comment in the chat. He said, and he's right. He put a little clown emoji for people who try to draw conclusions for one game. And he's exactly right. And that's what Eric Spoelstra tries to tell us over and over again. And sometimes people don't want to listen. It's this series is going to take on a number of different lives. And it's going to change with a different crew of officials. It's going to change when guys come back from injury. It's going to change now that the Heat are more accustomed to the physicality that Boston is going to bring, and that Boston is more accustomed to the type of physicality that Miami is bringing on the perimeter that they didn't necessarily face from Milwaukee. Milwaukee is extremely physical inside. On the perimeter, they will give you more than Miami does. And I think that's kind of what you saw in the second half last night, where the Heat made things very tough on Boston at the three-point line. So I mentioned that this series is going to change when the guys come back from injury. What are you hearing right now? What is your feeling? And you mentioned before we got to the end of the last segment about what Ime Udoka said about Al Horford. And I want to start there. Why would he be able to come back, unless maybe this isn't a positive test? Why would he be able to come back for Game 2 for any other reason? Is there some other reason if it's not a positive test?
Yes, an inconclusive test. And we've had players who've missed a day. The question is, why was he testing in the first place? Especially it's been reported, at least reported, that he's vaccinated, which means he wouldn't be required. Now, still flu season, still colds going around. So he might have felt under the weather, felt the need to take a test. It might have come back inconclusive. Or the feeling is it's such a light strain and the load, the NBA measures load. And even if you have COVID and your load is below a certain, they call it spin ratio, that you can come back. So maybe the thought is in the interim, he can pass 2 tests. Because here's the deal, Clay. He played in Sunday's game against the Bucks. The NBA has a clock where the day you test positive is day 0. You then must go 5 days before you clear their quarantine. So let's say after the game Sunday goes, you know what, we won. I don't feel too good. Okay. So that's day 0 he tests, which would mean Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay. Well, Thursday is game 2. So all logical aspects of the NBA policy says he misses that. Not only that, if he practiced and was with the team either on Monday or Tuesday shoot around, because again, Ime Udoka said he didn't find out till 2 hours before he did his pregame press conference. That also would put him out of Saturday's game 3. So I am a little surprised. This whole policy is a thing in the works. A bunch of people at the game said yesterday, why is he testing anyway? Look, down here, the measured rate, that's not even just us testing at home, various people, is like 20% now. So it seems 1 in 5 people could test positive if it comes from that. So I think the NBA is trying to have it both ways. They're trying to maintain vigilance on one end, but they want good playoffs. We've already seen Steve Kerr miss games during the Western Conference playoffs. We've seen Scott Foster, the lead referee, best referee in the NBA by their ratings most times, miss a game during the playoffs also. So the thought of, after 2 compromised seasons, including everyone talking about the Heat in the bubble, folks just listening here on your podcast, those were air quotes.
I'll do the air quotes, yeah.
It seems like, it could happen again. And again, I always digress because it's who I am. And I can't stand this crap for this reason. Are we going to go back to this now, Clay? Well, the Hawks didn't have Capella for the first couple of games in the first round. And Embiid didn't play the first couple of games in the second round. And now there's no Horford and no Marcus Smart. It's like, stop it, people. This is the NBA. Magic Johnson missed the finals. Byron Scott missed the finals. This happens. This is decades going back. Dwayne Wade was injured in the playoffs. LeBron James cramped up. Players are out. You miss players. But also, Boston got to the East Finals because Chris Middleton was out, right? Boston got past the first round because Ben Simmons and Joe Harris weren't available. So you have to pull back. So my point with the Horford thing is it's very much in the air because I think the NBA's policy is sort of, we'll just go with this today. I think that's what it is.
Do you think it could be, but before you move on, do you think it could be as simple as Ime Udoka just wants to create just some mystery and force the Heat to still game plan? Which, by the way, I think I think he's well within his rights to do that. But when he said that, that was my first thought was, hey, if it's an automatic 5-day clock, then he's got to be just trying to make sure that Miami has to game plan.
And I disagree with you there, Clay, and not just because Big O said we should disagree. I disagree with you for this reason. If the NBA is going to be part of gambling, and you see on all their courts, all their gambling signs, all their live sports betting, okay? And the NBA at one point wanted to be paid a transparency fee by Vegas and all the sports books so they can keep it above the line. Clay, if you watch enough sports, you're seeing now, and we're seeing it on the national broadcast, the live in-game updates about how the lines change. So if Ime Udoka knows, or the NBA know, that Al Horford can't play in game 2, and they're trying to say they're all in on gambling, then they've got to be more like the NFL. They've got to have transparent injury reports. Point number 2, to your point about coaches don't want other people to know, so Eric might have to game plan for Robert Williams and Grant Williams versus Al Horford, all well and good. But even in game, PJ Tucker limps off midway through the second quarter. We don't know anything until the third quarter. But as you know now, Clay, with live gambling, the line is constantly changing second by second by all these NBA partner betting sites, as is the over-under total. We've got to get to more transparency. We can't have Lisa Salters on the sideline going, still no update from the Heat. No, if you're in for gambling, you're all in. The moment PJ Tucker goes out, what is it now? What is it 5 minutes from now? What is it now? Because the NBA seems to be more than happy for you and me to be gambling during the game in real time, but without providing real-time updates. So I agree with you, Clay. That's what coaches do. They give out as little information. Eric Spoelstra today at practice, hey, Eric, how's Kyle Lowry doing? Eric Spoelstra. Can't really do a good Spoelstra imitation. No new update, right? That's what we're going to hear about 2 hours from now. Well, you know what? If you're in a gambling league, there is an update. Same, copacetic, slight improvement, took a slight step backwards because we're all gambling. If you folks only knew how much money Clay owes to the bookmakers. But I digress, and I'll leave it at that. Okay.
Why do you think I'm doing this show?
Exactly, to make up for his losses. They go, when are you going to pay us? That's the Al Horford story. Marcus Smart, a midfoot sprain can be an issue. And here's the deal. This is a guy, sort of like Bam, who goes 1,000 miles an hour, who's going to dive into every pile. So all of a sudden, pins and needles, all of a sudden, that will he get up this time? Is he hurting the foot? Because you know what? Clay, I'll give you a perfect example. Last series, you remember how Danny Green got injured? Do you remember that play?
Hold on, sorry about that. I was trying to read the chats and muted. Yeah, I mean, Joel Embiid rolls into it.
Exactly. So it can happen by the most benign accidental things if you're on the floor. That's why I cringe every time that Jimmy Butler goes down or every time that Bam Adebayo falls, because there's lots of other really big people on the floor like Robert Williams who can fall, or Dwayne Dedmon who can fall on top of you. So I don't think this Marcus Smart thing is just going to be he's back and he's good to go. I think it's going to be, again, pins and needles the whole way to see what we're doing and whether he can make it past it. So I think Marcus Smart stays on the injury report the balance of the series. Then you have the Kyle Lowry issue. Eric Spoelstra has told us, and I wrote about this at the Sun Sentinel at sunsentinel.com, that he is not basing any of this on where the Heat stand in the series or the other team's injury report. I don't buy that. I think Eric Spoelstra is trying to buy time until critical mass. Critical mass never arrived against the Hawks in that series with the 4-1 series. Critical mass, honestly, never arrived against the Sixers, never really in trouble in Game 6, always had Game 7 in their back pocket. So personally, and I might be wrong, and if you're listening to this podcast time shifted and not on Wednesday, maybe I will be wrong, I think Eric's still playing the series, and they're up 1-0, and he can buy another 2 days off for Kyle by sitting him out on Thursday. So I think he is playing the series, and I think he is playing things. If Boston says Marcus Smart is back, I think that impacts Eric Spoelstra with Kyle Lowry. Because you know what? You have to still win 3 more games in this series to get to the NBA Finals. Again, this is, I know it's almost rudimentary, but for our new listeners, the old you lose your home court advantage if you lose one of the first 2. Clay, it's true. If the Heat lose on Thursday, we're going to have to do the emergency pod on Friday about how it's all going to crap. So I think Eric Spoelstra knows you can't get too cute with whether Kyle plays or Kyle doesn't play.
Yeah, and I think the only reason why I would push back on the idea that you're going with how the series is going is that wins Philadelphia, he wasn't just below 100%. It was rough out there. It was hard to watch him play.
What percentage would you say he was at?
50.
Okay.
I mean, and for this reason, Ira, it was the shooting was clearly off. He clearly didn't have the lift, but also the bigger problem I noticed was defensively. He was slow in rotations, and I mean, there are just certain things that you can't do when you've got that level of injury. And so, to me, Ira, it's more about, are you better with Kyle Lowry in his current state, whatever it is, than you are with Gabe Vincent at 100% in that starting lineup? And here's the other question.
Really good point. And that's the question I kept going to Big O on when I was on with our accurate Pembroke Pines reports before we got here for our weekly Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint was I kept going through the percentages. I did this with you last week also. So again, Kyle Lowry at 90%, do you play him Clay Ferraro?
Of course.
Kyle Lowry at 80%, do you play him Clay Ferraro?
Yes, but Woj mentioned yesterday they may bring him off the bench. Have you heard anything along those lines?
Kyle Lowry has not played a game off the bench in any game he's appeared in, I believe, over 800 games.
Wow.
So do you want something that dramatic and change for Kyle? He has missed games over that span, but when he has played, he has started. So again, that percentage. So you waffled at 80. I'm going to go to 70. But I think if you go to 75, you're out.
Stay on 80 for a minute. Stay on 80.
Okay.
That's when I would play the series. To your point. That's where I would look at
the series result. Right. You play if they're even or if they're up 2-0, you wouldn't play him at 80 then.
Correct. Yeah. So if Boston were to come, let's say this is the hypothetical 80% world. And so the fact that I'm getting hypothetical with 80 tells you where I'd be with 70. In the 80% world, if you lose game 2 and you can look back at certain points in that game and say, man, we needed him on the floor. And there's a reason why we lost, and part of that reason is that we did not have Kyle Lowry on the floor in that game. Then you're talking about the series taking on different lives as it goes on, and then you're like, okay, let's put him out there. And then maybe you steal a game 3 with him at 80%, and then maybe he falls back and you have to rest him for a game 4 and then come back in game 5. So I think that's where you play the series, is when you're getting to that percentage level.
Yeah, and again, here's the thing, and I was talking to Big O about this on our Accurate Pembroke Pines report, is I felt that once you get below that 80% threshold with Kyle, you're in a good spot because not only do you have Gabe starting, he scored a career playoff high last night, but you had Victor Oladipo then slotting into the rotation without taking someone else's spot. Victor was kind of meh. Is that a good word for last night? He was kind of just out there. He had a couple of moments, but nothing great. So if I can get a little more out of Victor, I feel a little more comfortable sitting Kyle. Again, like I've told folks, including going back to last week's Salomon's home security inside the paint, if I'm getting less than 80% Kyle, but I'm getting a productive Victor Oladipo, I'm fine with this. If I'm not getting a fully productive Victor Oladipo, then you move things around. But then you're getting into, does Victor play? Because, yes, Caleb Martin played last night as a ninth man, but minimally. He was actually in the hallway riding the bike because he had played so little during the end of the game just to stay fresh in case he had to go back in. So I think Victor Oladipo plays into the Lowry thing maybe a little bit more than we're sort of giving credit for.
To digress a little bit, do you think that Tyler Hero would be more comfortable playing with Gabe Vincent if that's the direction they were to go? And in that case, do you think you would see less of Victor Oladipo with Kyle Lowry back in the lineup, where maybe your two guards in the next lineup would be Gabe and Tyler Hero as opposed to Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo?
Yeah, I think Victor could get shuffled out of the mix again. You know, it's like, I feel so bad for him because every time we speak to Vic, it's almost like, I mean, I haven't gone to a lot of Sunday church services and those great sermons and gospel sermons. As a Jewish guy, you don't do that. But the way Vic talks, I always almost hear him as a preacher. He is so optimistic. He is so effusive. He is so he gives life to the room. I put it that way, Clay.
Yeah.
And I'd almost feel bad if there's a step back and I have to do the interview. Vic, you didn't play last night. How do you feel right now? Like, I don't want that moment because the man infuses life into the room when he's out there. But yeah, I could see that. If Kyle Lowry comes back, Victor Oladipo would be in jeopardy of losing playing time, maybe all of his playing time, because I don't think any right-minded person who follows the Heat could say right now, just go without Gabe Vincent. Initially, I did think if Kyle was there and Tyler Hero was there, that Vic is my third guard in that situation. I don't think he can move past Gabe Vincent. It's so interesting. Every opponent's mentioned him. And I think as you and I, well, actually, it was after we did our show, when the Heat put out a GIF after last series of onward to the next series, they left out Gabe Vincent. And no less than Trae Young said, hey, don't forget about Gabe Vincent in there also. He should be in there. People are noticing. And when the Trae Youngs notice, and when the 76ers guards and Tyrese Maxey notice, look, mama, I've made it. And Gabe Vincent really has.
What I thought was fascinating about that was you remember that Gabe was guarding Trae Young a lot in that first series. And I remember maybe it was game 2 where there was a comment from Trae Young, oh, if the refs are going to keep letting him play like that, then there's nothing we can do. And Gabe somebody asked Gabe about that comment, and Gabe kind of smiled and said, oh, we've got plenty of foul calls tonight. And it was like, all right then. And for Trae to come back and say, it just shows the level of respect that they have. Last 3 minutes, Ira, what type of adjustments do you think we can see maybe on both ends? And obviously we're going to see this series shift as guys come back into the lineup. But specifically after what we saw last night, even with the guys that are going to be on the floor again, what type of adjustments could you see from both Boston and Miami in game 2?
You know what? I know it sounds weird, but I have to see who's playing. The adjustments might be in the rosters. The adjustments might be in the rotation. The Boston Celtics with Marcus Smart and Al Horford are a different team than we saw Tuesday night at FTX Arena. The Miami Heat with Kyle Lowry is a different team than we saw. A limping PJ Butler who played through on adrenaline at the end on Tuesday, but comes in today and goes, I can't move, is a different player than who we saw on Tuesday. So the biggest adjustment to me are the injury reports, are those hourly NBA injury reports that should start today at about 1:30 and will roll right through the night. That tells us. We also know teams, like you said, don't tell us a lot. So tomorrow's injury reports will say a lot. I don't think there are, by the way, I appreciate you getting on this real quick there, Sean. Exactly. This is the photo that the Heat ran. They're on to the next round. And no less than, as we see there, Trae Young saying, hey, Gabe Vincent belongs in there also. And he does. And it's interesting. So when you talk to me about adjustments and what we're going to see, you're not taking Gabe out of the mix, even if Kyle comes back. That's an adjustment. Who's the odd man out? Is it Caleb? Could it be Gabe? This is constantly going to evolve until we get steady rosters and steady injury reports. Clay, I could tell you this. If every Heat player played on Tuesday and every Celtics player played on Tuesday, I would talk to you about adjustments because X, Y, and Z player have to do A, B, and C. but that's not how the series is going to play out. There are going to be injuries. There are going to be absences. And again, elephant in room. Al Horford protocols. Al Horford practiced, traveled, spent time with teammates. Who's next? And again, I hope not. And not because I care if the Heat win or lose the series. That's not my job. Because I don't want to hear this BS and have to deal with it. Well, they didn't have Smart and they didn't have Horford. And tomorrow we find out they don't have Williams and they don't have Williams. And it just changes things. I want everyone to be out there. When players say that, that's not bombast. They want to beat the best. They know how much it means. So to me, adjustments, it's all on the injury report. Clay and I have already discussed. He's going to check through the middle of the night on the even hours. He has 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., and I have the odd hours. So follow our Twitter accounts. We'll keep you
It's
updated.
like we have a baby that needs feeding during the night.
Exactly. Feed the injury report. Feed the injury report.
The old show, my two dads, my two injury report monitors as the night goes on. This has been great. You guys have been awesome. I'm really curious as well, Ira, because to me, it's not just the guys who are in and out of the lineup. You can't, if you're Boston, look at what happened in the fourth quarter of that game and say, yeah, you know what, we're going to be okay. We think Marcus Smart being out there is going to be the difference between Jimmy Butler taking over the game and Jimmy Butler
was
not.
Superfluous. That game was decided in the third. I don't care what Peyton Pritchard's doing at the end. That third quarter is what they have to overcome. And you know what? If they get seduced by the fourth quarter, hey, the Heat are going all the better because that was not best of the Heat by any means in the fourth quarter.
Great stuff. We'll be back next week, guys, right here on Inside the Paint. The Big O Show rolls on next.
You've been listening to the Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint Show with Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. With Sloman's properly securing your home, it's never been easier and more affordable. See how little it costs to secure your home at 1-800-ALARM-ME. Sloman's Home Security Inside the Paint Show is mastered by executive producer Sean Stanley. Please search Big O Radio Show on most platforms and smash the like button. For over 25 years, South Floridians have counted on Tommy B. Butts Jr. Enterprises for their roofing needs. In South Florida, we battle the sweltering heat, rain, winds, and all kinds of tropical storms. That's why when it comes to protecting your family, home, or business, call Tommy B. Butts Jr. Enterprises.com. 954-735-9826 or 954-394-1411 and ask to speak to Tommy, the owner. They specialize in all kinds of roofs. All work fully guaranteed with the customer's complete satisfaction. A+ rated member of the Better Business Bureau. Licensed and insured. There's no buts about it. When your roof needs repair or replacement, go to TommyBButtsJrEnterprises.com. A certified whitening contractor.
Oh, great. You got a doorbell camera. Now you got a front row seat to your house getting robbed. No. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Get out of my house!
Ooh, mom's jewelry. There goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. At Sloman's, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, a free doorbell camera.
Free?
One that'll actually work for you. It's not total security unless it's the Sloman Shield. Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
The Big O Radio Show is brought to you by HialeahParkCasino.com. Enjoy simulcast racing, dining, a magnificent poker room, and a casino with the most popular machines on the market. OKCoin.com. Download the app on iOS, Google Play, or Windows. OKCoin.com with over 50 different coins and incredible staking rewards. Pallet Rack City. There's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Are back. Ira and Clay are done as they do it every week here on our Sloman's Inside the Paint Show. Remember, 1-800-ALARM-ME So you can get your free doorbell camera. Tell them you heard it right here on the Big O Radio Show. And you can get your free doorbell camera. 1-800-ALARM-ME. All right. So it was one of those, I guess, frustrating and happy nights, right? Because, and in the end, I guess, if we want to put things on a positive spin, it was the right thing to actually have both teams on playing at the same night. Well, one, the Panthers justified that the NHL doesn't give a crap about them and laid a big turd on them, and they performed exactly accordingly, right? So they didn't justify it, so far at least. It's only one game, and, they can bounce back, but we'll see. We'll see. But technically, if we only had the Panthers last night, we would have gone to sleep pretty bitter. We would have said, wow, we should have watched the Marlins game. By the way, can the Marlins play the Nationals for the rest of the year? Right, Sean? I mean, Marlins make the playoffs if we can play the Nationals for the rest of the year. What are the chances of winning 100 out of 162 if we play the Nationals every day? What do you think? Pretty good, right? I like our chances.
Real good. Real good.
Hell yeah. Going for the sweep today. And they didn't allow a guy named Joan to beat him yesterday. Strong. Told you can't allow somebody named Joan to beat you.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. No, really, seriously. I mean, you lose the game yesterday. I would imagine whatever reporter was left over, was there a reporter in the locker room for the Marlins? Did somebody even cover that event? I mean, did you hear George Richards yesterday on our show?
Yeah, nobody at the skate.
Nobody was covering Panthers practice. Why? Because they were at the Heat. But it was a blessing to have both, because the shitty performance by the Panthers, well, we needed something to make us feel better by the end of the night, and the Miami Heat made us feel better by the end of the night. So there was a positive of having both teams on, because, the Panthers are still trying to earn everybody's trust. Right? Because they're still, they got through the first round, which is nice. But now you got to get through this round. Let's go. And so people are kind of like, can we trust it? Now, the Heat, you can always trust. It's a great organization. There's a reason why they have 3 championships. There's a reason why they've been to the finals several times. There's a reason why they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know how many it is, but it's just a ridiculous number. I mean, it's a franchise you can trust. And yesterday, that was the performance you can trust. That's why at halftime, I had some real panic wussies. Wow, I had some of you DMing me, tweeting me, texting me over at the Welton Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. We weren't even on the air, but that's what I love about that text line, that it's really like a 24-hour text line. And I see it all the time, so I can answer you guys. And, dude, you know how many texts came in last night that people were nervous? And I'm like, yo, relax. It's halftime. It's basketball. There's a ton of – most of you actually calmed down after I told you, realize the Celtics played the best half they could play, and the Heat played the worst half they can play, and they're trailing by 8 points. 8 points in the NBA. 14 points in the NBA is a joke. You're not safe at 14 points. It's a nice lead, but you just can't coast and say, oh, well, we don't need to try from here on out. No, you'll lose easily. They'll make a couple threes, and all of a sudden the game's, So you got to bring it. And they brought it. And they got it done. And in the second half, they played up to their abilities, and then the Celtics kind of faltered. And they, by the way, Sean, this group still hasn't gone to an Eastern Conference Finals. Okay. It may look like the Celtics are in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they're kind of doing the same thing they always do. So I would tell the Celtic fans, because some of them reach out, hey, did you really say they've only been to one? Because they've been to this one and that one. Hey, listen, clowns, okay? You're a bunch of choking dogs, okay? That's all I know about the Celtics. All I know is that people around the NBA have blown smoke up my ass for years about Brad Stevens, about what Ainge is going to do, and now what is it? Udoka, whatever the guy's name is. Okay. And, that Tatum is this and Tatum is that. And I know he's a hell of a talent, but I saw him fade yesterday. When the Heat ended up getting physical and got nasty, he faded with his 7 turnovers. Yeah. Udoka?
Speaking of Udoka, the Celtics are going to be Zooming. Barry Jackson just sent this out. They're going to be Zooming with them this hour. Coach Ime Udoka is not on the call because he has a non-COVID illness. So maybe that gives some light to the whole Al Horford. Maybe it was a non-COVID illness, but he's not going to be on the Zoom call because of a non-COVID illness. The head coach will not be on the call.
How about that? Yeah, but the other guy does have COVID.
Horford, right?
Horford has COVID.
They said that it might have been inconclusive because he said last night that Horford might be ready for game 2.
In other words, yeah, he's got it, but we're going to play anyways.
Yeah. And now I got to report I have a non-COVID illness to play with the story.
Exactly. So don't report COVID, all right? So you can show up tomorrow at Hialeah Park, all right? We're at a point now that so many people are vaccinated and boosted, and we're over 70% now, that it's not so bad because there's so many people that are vaccinated and boosted. Lesser people are really at risk. And this thing has now morphed into all different, that it's not like it was early on. It's not nearly as strong. So it's not affecting as many people anymore. So we've gotten it down to a point where it's hopefully not so bad. You know what I'm saying? Just the people that aren't vaccinated, obviously they're at some kind of a risk. But, it is what it is. So whatever. If he's not going to be there, what are you going to do? And if the other guy's got COVID, it's what Ira said on the show too. People miss all the time in the finals. I mean, or this is the Eastern Conference Finals, not even the finals. I mean, the Heat had the worst luck in the world with Bam and Dragon getting injured. Shit happens, man. Happen all the time. Pat Riley, couple times towards the end of the year, Tim Hardaway would break down with plantar fasciitis. And we're like, oh, damn. Sometimes you just don't have you need a little luck to win a championship. It's not that luck carries you to the championship, but you need a break or two. You got to stay away from an injury. You got to stay away from an illness. In our case, nowadays, you got to stay away from COVID, whatever the hell. I mean, it's just all kinds of crap, unfortunately, that we've got to deal with, man. It is what it is. But I'm not feeling sorry for the Celtics. And as I told you, Celtic fans yesterday, and I'll keep saying it, okay? I'm sick and tired of hearing about the Celtics. I am. So when they finally show up and actually show me some balls and they really can get to a final and really threaten for a final, then I can start to believe that these guys are actually going to be that, But, and I know Tatum is super talented, bro. He made some shots yesterday in the first half that were just sick, okay? I get it. But you got to play 4 quarters, and you can't have 7 turnovers. If I'm going to pick on Barkov and Huberdeau, I'm going to pick on the Celtics. So to me, that's my bigger problem is I'm sick and tired of you telling me how great the Celtics are when they've accomplished nothing. They win nothing. They fold all the time. Last night, they came in because and I give them credit, they knew they were missing 2 key players. They had to come in with desperation, and to their credit, they came in with the desperation. Miami failed to have the edge they needed early on. Then the locker room, halftime, something got straightened out in that locker room, and they came out and played the basketball they're supposed to, and then that's when I saw the Celtics fold like a cheap tent. Like they always do. So I have yet to see them in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's the way I'm going to look at the Celtics, okay? When those guys actually can start accomplishing something, then tell me how great, Tatum and Brown are going to be and how great the Celtic organization is and that how much all those picks are going to create a dynasty and all of that. When they start living up to some of that stuff, please tell me. Then show it to me. And then, if they can beat the Heat, then I can start to respect them now. We'll see. It's Fins up is like, Big O, let him know. It's just like I'm so tired of listening to the bullshit about Tatum, Brown, and the Celtics and how great. This is years already, and I'm tired of it. That's all. And yesterday, the same shit. Upstart, you go ahead, you're a front runner, and then what happened? They punched you in the mouth, and all of a sudden, you cowered and you punked out. So when this version of the Celtics actually accomplishes something, wake me up. Wake me up. View on the Celtics feels a lot like national view on the Panthers. Until they accomplish something, people just don't care. How much I missed Eric Reed and John Crotty last night. Those national announcers were terrible, praising the Celtics and their championship. And by the way, can we stop already with the stupidity? Okay, let's stop with the stupidity already, bro. Enough. At halftime, what did I hear? They got to play Duncan Robinson. Are you watching the games? This happened a couple of games ago with a whole bunch of you guys. Oh, they got to play. It's not Duncan Robinson is not the answer to anything. How can a player limited on offense and can't play defense be an answer to anything, you idiots? Was it Jalen Rose yesterday, the moron that was saying it? I forgot which one it was. Remind me which was the idiot in the halftime. Because I was kind of going back and forth with hockey, and I forgot which one of the idiots. I swear to God, I went right to the hockey right away when I heard that. You guys don't know anything about this team. You don't follow it. Some of you that actually follow the team, you said the same stupid shit. Oh, no, you got to play Duncan Robinson. Since when, dude? They had to play defense. They had to get tough. They had to get into Boston's face. When does Duncan do that? They were missing bunnies. They were missing layups. They were missing putbacks. They were missing three-pointers. They were missing long twos. It's not a Duncan Robinson issue, dude. Now, if they were playing great defense, they were rebounding, they were going back and forth, the score super even, but Miami is shooting 32% and 25% from three-point range, and everything is even, then I could say, well, nobody is shooting. All right, reach for the 10th man on the bench and give Duncan a couple of minutes. But that wasn't the case. They weren't defending. They weren't playing together. They weren't playing hungry. They weren't playing desperate. They weren't playing with an edge. That's all. And in the second half, they came out with the edge. Okay? Not Duncan Robinson, because Duncan Robinson doesn't give you an edge. So stop with the lazy analysis. And I get it, Jalen Rose, you don't know shit about our team because you don't watch it. So you just throw that stupid shit out there, just like many other fans that are just lazy and don't look at the game. And I keep telling everybody, defense is what triggers their offense. I said it several nights ago, okay, in the last series. And yet some people still don't get it. And a guy that can't drive to the hoop, can't play off the ball, can't set up other people, how is he going to actually can't fill a lane? How's he supposed to be an answer on offense, period? Can't ball handle, can't create his own shot. The only thing he can do is shoot a three-pointer. He can't defend. He's a complete weakness on defense. How is he the answer to anything? Anything. The game needs to be even. There needs to be 4 seconds left on the clock. People aren't shooting good threes. You're down by 2 or whatever, or 3. You bring him off the bench, you set up a play, you try to run it, free him up if you can. You have the triggers, as Ira, as Spo would say, and he's one of the triggers. If he's open, you give him the shot. If not, that's it. That's all Duncan Robinson is anymore. He's Craig Hodges coming off the bench late in a game, and you don't even have to play him anymore like you used to play Craig Hodges. He's that guy. He's John Sunvold now at this point. He's just a taller version of John Sunvold. You didn't bring John Sunvold in to handle the ball. You didn't bring him in to create offense. You didn't bring him in to fill the lane. You didn't bring him in to defend. You brought him in a key moment for a three-pointer, and that's it. Go back and sit on the bench, John. We'll see you next year. We'll watch you during the three-point contest. You're a fantastic dude. Have a great life. Duncan Robinson is John Sunvold. And for all you youngins out there that have no idea who John Sunvold is, that's who he is. So stop with the lazy analysis. Stop embarrassing yourselves because you obviously don't understand Heat basketball. You don't understand the game, and you clearly don't know what Duncan Robinson lacks, which is everything. Okay? It was a contract that was needed because you didn't know what Max Strus, Caleb Martin, or Gabe Vincent were. Now that you know what they are, why would you want Duncan Robinson? Can we be honest now? Okay? So Duncan Robinson may be used for something like a desperation late game 3, John Sunvold style. But outside of that, he's a trade piece for the offseason. For a team that needs a shooter, and he's a great shooter. He'll help you out, yada, 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 and he'll never play for anyone like he played for the Miami Heat again. Let's just be honest. But they will move him, and whatever sucker takes him, they think they will get that guy. They'll never get that guy because, the Heat are the Heat. They get the best out of people. And most people play their best basketball in a Heat uniform. Once they leave the Heat, they no longer play that kind of basketball ever again. That happens, 95% of the time to the people they develop here. Not PJ Tucker. He's going to be PJ Tucker wherever he goes. Okay? But the other guys, because they didn't develop PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is PJ Tucker. The other guys that they developed, those kind of guys. That's what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reality. He'll stay John Sunvold till the end of the year, and then you trade him away, and you open up that cap space because you have other priorities. You need other people that you got to keep. So that's what's going to happen with Duncan Robinson. So please stop with the lazy analysis. Stop showing me national guys that you really don't know anything about the Heat and you don't follow the Heat. Okay. But, whatever. I think it was Jalen. You want to make it sound like a cool soundbite or whatever. Okay. Do it while you're holding your Louisville Slugger and doing your show with the other guy, Jacoby or whatever. Whatever. But you know what? On that show, you got, isn't it Method Man? Is it move on. Don't talk about the Heat. You don't understand them. Okay? You have no idea what Heat defense is. And those of you, let's retire the Duncan talk already. Okay? When is Omar coming on? 12:15. He'll be on. Duncan Robinson needs to be in the top 5 thieves in South Florida sports. No. He's not a thief. A thief is what's oh God. Well, Whiteside definitely, that's a thief. Duncan's not lazy. Duncan is, it's not his fault. He shot the hell out of the ball, and the Heat had to pay him. And it was the going rate like it was for Bertans with Washington. So it's one of those things, but he is not Dude, what's the name, Sean? What's the name of the guard that played opposite of Goran? And for like 19 games, he had a career 19 games or 29 games or whatever. And he had a foot injury and everything. And Riley still gave him a 4-year contract. And it was a terrible contract. Then he went to the Lakers and did nothing there. What's the guy's name? He was kind of a clown. We got him from Cleveland. It was a high draft pick from Cleveland. Dude, he was always a clown, but he had just a couple of games here with Dragon. Dion Waiters, thank you. There we go. That's a thief. Es un descarado. Okay? That's what Whiteside is. Duncan Robinson is not un descarado. All right? He's not a conniver. And that's what Dion Waiters is. He's a conniver. He's a bullshit artist. That's what Whiteside is. That's a bullshit artist. That's a liar. That's a lazy dude. That's a guy that's not committed. That's a guy that's ignorant, doesn't get it, doesn't understand what he needs to do. Those are the thieves. I'm not doing that to Duncan. Okay, Duncan is just, unfortunately, other players have developed who are better than Duncan Robinson, who are more complete and who play Heat basketball. Duncan Robinson can play on other teams that don't require Heat basketball. But they got away with it because they didn't have enough talent. So they would have to deal with his shortcomings, just like they had to deal with the shortcomings of Whiteside. But it doesn't mean that they are the players that belong here. So those are thieves. These are people that don't plan on living up to their responsibilities. Duncan Robinson is trying. It's just he's limited, unfortunately, in certain areas, and it's hurt him, and it's not who he is. He's never going to be a defender. He's not going to be an off-the-ball player. He's not going to be dribbling and setting other people up. That's not who he is, unfortunately. He's Kyle Korver. He's John Sunvold. He's those limited guys that can shoot. We've seen them in the league forever. They can make a living, but has to be the right situation. But when you have a Caleb Martin in your right mind, you don't play Duncan Robinson. When you have Gabe Vincent in your right mind, you don't play Duncan Robinson over him. When you have Max Strus in your right mind, you cannot play Duncan Robinson over him. That's all. It's not on Duncan. So I'm not going to pick on him like he's a lazy guy. He is what he is. And so I can't hold it against him if he's John Sunvold. I can't hold it against him if he's, dude, what's the name of the shooter that we had here that won the three-point contest with the black hair, kind of the crop top? He went to Toronto also. Same thing as this guy. Can't do anything else but shoot. No, Mike Miller could handle the ball, pass. Mike Miller was a better player than that. Mike Miller was a sack of injuries. You, sir, don't understand. Capono. Thank you, Capono. Capono, John Sunvold, Duncan Robinson, Kyle Korver. They're all the same shit. They're all the same shit. They can shoot. Can't do anything else. There's a role for them. But unfortunately, when you develop others that are better, logic takes over. Not the logic that ESPN clearly doesn't have, and some of you out there that don't understand basketball, and you think Duncan Robinson's the answer for anything. But, the lazy analysis, bro, that shit drives me crazy, man. It's like, really, man, watch the games. Please watch the games. All right, 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. I tell you all the time about Nature B. Nature B is for me, baby. Go to the website, naturebee.com. 27 vitamins and amino acids. I tell you all the time about it. And 28 minerals and antioxidants. It's one of those things that just makes a difference in my life. And it gives me some extra energy. It boosts my immune system, which is something that I really, really cherish in today's world too, since it's virus filled. And yeah, I'm vaccinated and boosted, but still, you could always use a little extra protection. And I've been doing it for many years now with Nature Bee and those 2 golden capsules. And folks, whether it's digestion, it helps in so many different ways. Go to the website, naturebee.com, and use my code Big O. You will get free shipping. 1 month supply, 3 month supply, 6 month supply. Use the code Big O and get it there at naturebee.com. Hour number 3 is next.
When protecting your family is your priority, there's nothing more important than a roof above the people you love. Call Tommy B. Butts Jr. Enterprises.com, 954-735-9826 or 954-394-1411 and ask to speak to Tommy, the owner. They specialize in all kinds of roofs, led by their highly crafted, skilled, and professional roof mechanics. All of their previous customers have an opportunity to enter their bi-weekly drawings to receive free an exterior impact metal door. Please call for more details. That's Tommy B. Butts Jr. Enterprises.com, 954-735-9826 or 954-394-1411. Trust Tommy to fortify and protect what's most important to you, your family.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
Folks, you can support the hardest working sports talk show in South Florida through Cash App or Venmo. Just search Cash Big O Show. Support us through Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. We thank you for your incredible support.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
The Big O Radio Show is brought to you by Caneswear. Go to caneswear.com, where all orders over $99 get free shipping. Sloman's Total Home Security. Protect your home with the best in the business. 1-800-ALARM-ME for the company serving America for nearly 100 years. 1-800-ALARM-ME. TommyBButtsJuniorEnterprises.com. Licensed roofing contractor. 100% financing is available. Go to TommyBButtsJuniorEnterprises.com.
When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Sir, welcome aboard our number 3 on the program. Ian Rappaport was on with us earlier. If you missed that, had a great conversation with him. He broke 2 stories while we're in the middle of our conversation. Also talked a little Tua with him. Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro did a great job, 10:30 or 11:30 with our Sloman's Inside the Paint show. Normally it's 9 to 10 in the morning, but, it was a later game yesterday and all that, so Ira needed a little bit of time, so we started a little later, which is all right with me. Right? I have no problem because that makes me get up a little earlier because I always kind of warm up the seat for the boys and get it going, overall, because I think it's the right thing to do. But we had a great crowd checking out the show. If you missed it, you can download it. And obviously, Sean will be podcasting it all. We've got the Marlins back in action after defeating the Nationals yesterday, 5-1. Cody Poteet did not get the win, but did a decent job. Miguel Rojas and Sanchez got some home runs. Today, it's Pablo Lopez versus Josiah Gray. 6:40 first pitch. They go for the sweep. And we've got a little soccer action tonight. How about that? Inter Miami and Philadelphia. We like to do our liquor split matchup of the night. Well, you know what? Let's do a little liquor split matchup of the night, but let's do it MLS style, baby. Since the Inter Miami squad is in action tonight against Philadelphia, let's give you our pick.
It's time to tap that app. And no one loves to tap that app like the Big O. Here's the liquor split matchup of the night.
I love it. I love it. All right, our liquor split matchup of the night. We're going to go MLS here on this one. And tonight, Philadelphia Union is favored by 1.5 goals. The over and under is 2.5 goals. Inter Miami is plus 700 on the money line. Union is a minus 256 on the money line. Now, it's a lot of money. I like the Union in this game. They're the better franchise. They've been the better franchise. Although I will say this, I think Inter Miami has kind of played it may have played one of its better games this past week in losing, actually. That's the funny part. If you watch the game, I like these young guys, man. I'm not a fan of the older guys and Higuain. That's all been a disaster. But Campana, and Lassiter and these cats, I do enjoy watching them play, and I will enjoy watching them play tonight. Obviously, I'm going to watch a little Mavs and Warriors. The good thing is that this game's at 7:30, so you're done by 9:30. So, you can maybe have the Mavs-Warriors game on at least I will. And then once it's over officially, then I'll put the Mavs and Warriors front and center here. But this is what I'm going to do in this game, okay? I'm going to actually take Inter Miami plus the 1.5 goal. I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll be gritty enough to lose by a goal, not lose by 2. You know what I mean? And because these young guys don't know any better, as long as they can stay with the youth movement throughout this game, if they've got to bring Higuain later on in the game because they've got some issues with fouls or injuries or something like that, then I'm not going to feel pretty good about this one. But in my liquor split matchup of the night, believe it or not, I'm going to take Inter Miami plus 1.5 goal because I think they're going to keep it within a goal. So that is my liquor split matchup of the night.
The matchup of the night is brought to you by Liquor Split, Miami's own online liquor store. Liquor Split. Download the Tap That app and get your favorite liquor delivered to you for just $2.99. No risk, no drinking and driving. Tap that app with Liquor Split.
99 flat fee, no hidden fees. That's all it is. So if you run out of beer, run out of wine, maybe you've got a meeting coming up, somebody's coming over and you forgot to get that whiskey, forgot to get that vodka. Man, tap that app, download it, iOS or Android. Liquor Split. It is Miami's liquor store, $2.99 flat fee, no other hidden fees, and $1 of that $2.99 goes to helping homelessness in Miami. Liquor Split, snacks, drinks, all kinds of stuff. No drinking and driving, baby. Live that VIP style without the VIP prices. Liquor Split. Download the app and tap it, baby. Tap it. One guy says, what does half a goal look like? What does half a point look like? What does half a puck look like? I don't know. There's halves all over the place. Imagine Messi and Ronaldo playing for Inter Miami. Imagine Halle Berry, Salma Hayek, all right, in my bed. Okay? Right, let's just have that. Just another silly, messy rumor and all that. And it'll be a draw, but there won't be any guarantees that you'll be a great franchise or you'll win. Hell, Messi might even be frustrated playing in this league. Who knows? But it's just so funny how what number of Messi rumor is this already in the last 4 years? The year leading up to having the team and the last 3 years. How many of these Messi rumors are we going to hear? In the end, why don't you do this? Why don't you go find some young guys that you can actually build on? You know, I saw Romario come and play for Miami FC on the back end of his career too. You know, I've seen all of this, dude. I've seen it, Pibe, later on in his career playing in the MLS. And, you know, I've seen all kinds of Chicharito come in. You know, it's happened before. I get all of that. And it's nice, but build a team, man. Build a team. Now, they deny it, and so this is just another waste of time like we've done for 4 years now. For 4 years now, we've heard this Messi bullshit. And it's never true. It's just a waste of time. And I get it. The soccer team doesn't matter. It's a terrible franchise. It's been a terrible franchise now for 3 years. We don't even know if there's any light at the end of the tunnel. I like some of the young guys, but still it doesn't prove that they're going to be good enough to be one of the better teams in this league. So you got to hang your hat by going and finding the shiny, you know, toy. This is so Mike Tannenbaum, right? These are the Mike Tannenbaum moves of soccer. Let's go get an old guy so we can use him up for a couple of years so we can kind of milk it, sell a bunch of shirts, probably not win much. But, hey, we brought, you know, an older retired veteran down here to play his retirement years here in the MLS. I just would love to see more of a team. It's a lot more fun. That's what I remember when the Fusion brought several players in to create a great atmosphere and an incredible buzz. You know what I mean? Oh, let's have a mediocre team, but then let's go pluck a superstar and just put him right there in the middle of the mediocre team. Yeah, not something that is. It almost ruins the move to bring Messi in. You know, if you're going to bring Messi in, bring him in so he can be part of a good team. So that way you can really entertain and build on it and sell the hell out of soccer and all that. Not just get a bunch of tourists that might fly in to see to go see Messi one more time. If Messi drinks Nature B, he can play for another 10 years. Well, he will have a lot of energy in the second half if he does that. You bring that caliber player, he can teach young players. Maybe, maybe not. Most people can't do what he does. So it sounds good in theory, but, I've watched it in this league. That's not the answer. It's just not the answer. So, whatever. Let's see. Jay says, yep, Nature B will allow Messi to play a while here at top flight mode. I like it. I like how you guys even found the bee emoji and everything. So yeah, a little messy action for you. Just a shame that, we keep playing this game that it just doesn't really get you anywhere. Did you guys see Brady is going to be roasted? How about that? That's pretty cool. So Brady is going to be part of a Netflix series, and he's going to be the executive producer of this. And it's going to be a roasting thing, and he is actually going to be the first guy that is going to get roasted in all of this. Brady's been making some massive moves in 2022. So according to a trade, Tom Brady is set to be the first person to get comedically burned in a new series of comedy specials Netflix is referring to as the great roasts of all time, the GROAT. Brady will be the executive producer on his own special and future ones. In a statement of Variety, the 7-time Super Bowl champion shared the perfect response to his new gig. According to the trade, this special is set to be filmed in 2023 following the upcoming NFL season. So the Buccaneer will want to be sure he's in the studio at the time so he doesn't get any kind of fine. Joining him are fellow EPs Jeff Ross, Casey Patterson, and Carol Donovan. Ross, of course, is no stranger to the world of celebrity roasts. He's been a major fixture at roasts for Comedy Central, the Friars Club, and more because of his sharp jabs. Ross has been known as the Roast Master General. This will absolutely be a new challenge for Tom Brady, who faces off with some of the toughest competition. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, he says, we can't wait to burn 3-time Super Bowl losing quarterback Tom Brady, who only went back in the NFL in order to delay this roast. In all seriousness, it's a huge thrill to work with the greatest football player of all time on this project. No one's better at taking hits and still coming out on top. So we know the roast will be a breeze for Brady, according to Netflix. So there you go. I think that's pretty cool. I like this, man. Obviously, Tom Brady's a guy that's a pain in my ass as a Dolphins fan. I admire him as a player and a professional because how can you not? But I do love this Brady that's gotten away from Belichick. And it's good for us because we got to see a different dude than, he was a robot his whole life because he was in the only franchise that doesn't allow you to have a personality, the New England Patriots. And listen, it works for them. They've won all those titles with Brady. So, it works with Brady. When it works without Brady, call me. Call me, homie. Kind of like Celtic fans. When the Celtics actually appear in the Eastern Conference Finals, because they still haven't appeared in an Eastern Conference Finals yet, Tatum and Brown. When they do, call me. Call me, homie. Let's see. Jeff Ross is a savage. He once told Tom Cruise that his most recent film had the appeal of a school bus fire. I prefer roasted chicken. I do like roasted chicken. I miss the Dean Martin roast. They were classics. Rosendo, you can see them all the time. You do know that, right? It's called YouTube. Just put Dean Martin roasts, Rosendo, and you will trip out. I still watch them every once in a while. It's like a Friday, Saturday night. I'm up late, and I'm like, I'm cruising around YouTube, and sometimes I'm watching music or documentaries or whatever, and I want to laugh. And, dude, I'll just put Dean Martin roasts, and they all come up. They're there. So YouTube has things that you've never seen, you haven't seen in forever, and you forgot about it or whatever, man, just YouTube it. Somebody will end up putting up whatever you missed. Somehow or another, it will be found. Somebody was asking on Twitter the other day, like places that food places that are defunct and I miss. And Wubs is one of those places, right? I loved Wubs. And so I went to YouTube and I found the Wubs commercial and I sent it to the person on social media. I go, this is the place I miss. I miss Wubs, So it just, everything's on YouTube, man. You can find everything pretty much. Let's see. You do not a Patriots still went to the playoffs, right? Yeah, whatever. They went to the playoffs and what? What have they done? Big deal. They haven't won anything without Brady. Have they won a playoff game without Brady? How many playoff games have they won without Brady? Hasn't worked. Thanks for playing. When are we having the Big O roast? Oh, that's every day. Thanks, Big O. I know, I just mean those celebrities are long gone. Yeah, well, we're all going to be there at one point or another. Long gone. Time will catch up to all of us. D-Mun, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. Big O, you remember Victoria Station? Oh, yeah, baby, by the airport, the train things connected. Yeah, bro, of course. I ate at Victoria Station. Definitely. No doubt. I love Victoria Station. Victoria Station, and the other train one was the depot on US 1, where you would go and then your table had like a little train thing. You sat on a glass table and inside there was a whole little city with the train going around and all that stuff, and you could turn it on and stuff. So yeah, I remember all of that. Of course, man. As an old fart. What else do we have here to talk about on the show? Oh, by the way, did we get? Oh, here he is. All right, I had the wrong screen. I didn't notice. Omar Kelly is in. Let's talk a little Miami Dolphins. Let's get ready with the man, the myth, the legend, and our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. The Big O Radio Show is home for the hardcore Dolphins fan. That's why we give you Omar Kelly twice a week. Buckle up. It's time for the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show.
There he is, the man, the myth, the legend that is Omar Kelly. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Can't complain. Even if I did, I'm not sure anybody would care.
We would care. We care. We love you. We care. So yesterday, obviously, you could not be with us because you wanted to focus in on your job and practice and watching the boys.
Zoom or any kind of social media chat is not allowed. And considering I only get to watch them once a week, I really got to pay attention. And if I was talking to you, I would have missed Raekwon Davis and Landon Roberts coaching up Channing Tindall. So
okay, I like that. If you're Channing Tindall, aren't you? I mean, you got to be a sponge at this point, baby. you want to pick up anything and everything you can from all these veterans, dude. If
Yeah. And I think I'm going to write something about that because, they went out their way to work with him from a technique standpoint. I don't know if it was instructed to them by their position coach or their head defensive coordinator, or their head coach, but that's just the nature of those two individuals. But not everybody is like that in the league. Not everybody is, they're the Ryan Tannehills of the world who are out there who basically are like, mine, it's my precious. I'm not sharing. I'm not helping. I'm not, if you ask a question, I'll help you out. But, not everybody, because, if Channing Tindall has a great camp, he's taking somebody's job, more than likely Landon Roberts. But Landon's got a good grasp on it because he's probably the defensive captain of the team. So
no, and there are different reasons to have both guys on the team, anyways. I mean, your short yardage, 3rd, 4th, and 1 goal line. I want that son of a bitch in the middle, and Landon Roberts thumping the shit out of you, bro. Okay, so because I know he will sell out his body like Zach Thomas used to sell out his body.
Yeah.
There are certain scenarios that Landon Roberts will be very precious in. You know what I'm saying?
I remember Frank Gore said that Landon Roberts gave him the hardest hit that he'd ever had in his NFL career when he was playing with the Jets.
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, all you have to see is how he plays. I mean, he hits you. He hits you that your family feels it. You know what I'm saying? They're at home sitting on the couch going, "Oh God, that hurt me." Oh, wow, you damaged my son. That's the kind of shit that Landon Roberts does to people. So yeah, there's a rhyme and a reason to have them all there. 1st and 2nd downs, and maybe even passing downs. I might have Tyndall at times flying around like I need him, but in short yardage, baby.
Yeah. Jerome also talked about he wants to play. He likes playing outside. He likes being multiple, versatile, moving around, that chess piece.
He's not the guy that fights through trash, bro. He can't do that. That's not him. When there's a traffic jam, he's going to be jammed. He's not, Landon Roberts will bust through that shit and he'll knife through it, but that's just not. And that's been a knock on him since he came out of college, that he's never been that guy that can, fight through all the trash, all the
still
traffic.
One hell of a player, one hell of a versatile player.
That's why you keep him on the outsides. That's why you keep him on the outsides.
I always say he's still underutilized as a blitzer, but we'll see how. If you got a guy who's going to do coverage, that frees that frees Jerome Baker up to blitz.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. There's no doubt that's actually a very good point, because Tyndall will probably help out some in coverage. He's got to get better in that area, obviously, but he's going to have to get better in that area because that's part of the game. Another guy is that I'm really excited for, and obviously most of this you couldn't get a feel for right now until we get to the pads and hitting and all that shit.
Oh, you know what was funny?
Brandon Jones is the other guy.
It's interesting you say that. Yesterday was a physical ass practice. And I was shocked.
Really? Wow.
Physical. Very physical. Open up with 11 on 11 inside run. And no pads. People to the ground. And I'm thinking to myself, like,
wow.
Like, what is this? Like,
yeah, that's not normal. Yeah, it's not normal.
Yeah, that's and I was just like, hey, listen. And I've always believed in this. If you want to be a running team, if you want to be a physical team, you just don't talk about it. You actually work on it.
Yes, you live
it.
Yes.
When you watch these OTAs, these OTAs always become flag football without the flags, pajamas, football in pajamas. And
I got you.
I'm never a big believer in that. And you see pass, run, pass, run. Like
that's why it takes so long for teams to play good football in the regular season, because the lack of hitting and the lack of just there's an adjustment. Yeah.
There was no I could have sworn to you that they had pads on, and I was just like, "Whoa, what is this?" And
they are going to be a running team that is going to be their image.
Yeah.
So it's what you just talked about, that if you're going to walk the walk, then if you're going to talk the talk, you then have to walk the walk in order to be able to do it. So
Yeah.
it starts right from these
Mike
moments.
McDaniels, I wrote a column on how really this, if this is going to work, he's going to have to turn this into a top 16 offense.
I saw it.
And that's not all on Tua. That's
everybody.
mainly on the O-line and the run game.
For sure.
But and part of the question I asked him was, who is this period the most difficult for, in terms of when you're installing a new offense, when you're working on new plays, when you're trying to identify who you are as a new team. And he basically was just like the offensive line. He said, all of my OTAs is built around my offensive line. It was a great quote, great explanation. He clearly knows that I'm obsessed with offensive linemen and offensive line play, as is he, which is why we're perfect together. And the thing is, he said something very interesting that I know was kind of targeted towards me, which is that for them they need a fresh start, and they got to let go of what happened in the past and have to stop being reminded of it. And that's where I come in, which is hard for me, since I can't let go of a decade of trauma from offensive line play. But one thing I did notice, they were big. They were very big. They're a huge, towering, big offensive line. Now the hope is that they have the athleticism to match, because they're big and they've got movement skills. And one thing that McDaniel said, which I found very interesting, was raw talent. He says this group has got the most that I've ever coached. And he's coached some very good offensive lines. But I could see where he's coming from, because most of them are big and big athletes. They're big and big. There's a difference between being big and then being athletic. These are big athletes. And maybe I'm not saying I'm turning the tide, but I'm. And he said his coaching staff was built primarily to improve this offensive line. That's why he hired Frank Smith. That's why he hired from Boston College. That's why he kept John Pierre. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
But you notice how when he talked about Lampierre, he talked about how Lampierre is doing a good job of learning what we're doing. You notice, right? But I read it right. Didn't I read it right from the get-go? That I told you, when people kept asking me, well, why do you like that they kept him? I go, well, they must like him as a human being and as a teacher. So they're going to teach him what they do so they can groom him, because it's a smart thing, because McDaniel knows eventually he's going to lose Frank or Applebaum, and he's going to need somebody to groom to try to take over. So he's going to give Lampierre the first crack at being the guy that is grooming in the background for that. So it's what we talked about throughout the year. The guy wasn't ready to lead his own unit, but clearly he must have something there as a coach that people like. So he's not at the stage to be the teacher. He's more there to be the Padawan first, to learn, and then he can then be the teacher. You know what I mean? So now they're going to teach him at this level what to do.
Agree with everything you said. Lemieux Jean-Pierre was not ready to be a lead position coach, and probably couldn't problem solve at the rate he needed to in the NFL. But keep in mind, this is a guy who's played in the NFL, and he's been groomed by Bill Callahan, who is considered one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL.
Yes.
So if Bill Callahan takes you as his understudy and is grooming you, there's clearly something to work with there. So, hopefully he's working. He's a former center, so hopefully he's working with the centers and helping them improve their snapping. Can't tell you who's playing center because it'll get me in trouble. But it wasn't what I expected, and it alleviates kind of some of my concerns, except for the fact that he hasn't really played that in the NFL.
No, I get what you're saying, that they're trying Connor Williams now at center. You're not saying it.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say you're saying it, but I'm saying that I know that Connor Williams is being tried at center for now, which is a smart move by them early on in this process, so they can figure out if any of the other guys can really play left guard to the point that they're comfortable, and he can play center if they're comfortable. But if he can't play center to the point they're comfortable, or they're really uncomfortable with their left guard, he'll go back to his original position of left guard, and they'll continue their move at center and wait till J.C. Treader makes a damn decision or not.
I have not said that that's happening.
It's all good. It's all good.
If it were happening, all of the things that you said, including trying out guys like Robert Jones and Liam Eichenberg at left guard, it makes sense. It does make sense.
Of course.
You know, and then you got Michael Dieter as the, you know, break in case of emergency guy.
Right. Swing guy or something. Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. Of course. Yeah. That makes all sense.
I mean, and we won't know anything until pads come on. And then also, not only that, but you always know an injury depletes your offensive line, and then you got to play musical chairs and figure out how to patch it. So, you know, I'm not as stressed as I was a week ago. Now, the stress level is still there, but I'm okay with the experimentation through mini camps, see what you have.
Well, that's what it is. That's what this time is. That's what.
And then maybe you kick the tires on a J.C. Treader.
Yeah, exactly. And he's told you what they're doing, which is what everybody does, by the way. These are all the mental reps. So that way it's all documented. It's all practice in the head. It's all hopefully muscle memory for them. So now when training camp rolls around, now we have taught you this. Now you can start to do it and take off with it and see what you can do. So that's kind of what this whole process is. So it's what Omar said. Once we get to the next level of putting on the pads, then we'll find out who is who and who belongs where.
I mean, first day of pads last year, I always had my suspicions that the line was trash. But first day of pads last year just reaffirmed it to me. Then that week where they went up and practiced against the Bears and just got thrown around like rag dolls, I was just like, nope, I'm out. Can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to see something different this year. By the way, EJD Construction, proud sponsor of our show. If you're looking to remodel that kitchen, hey, listen, you got the football season coming up. You're in the middle of basketball and hockey playoffs. Maybe you want to enlarge that man cave and do all kinds of funky stuff. You want to add an addition, call Eric at EJD Construction. Not a handyman. We're talking about custom home construction. You want to add a second floor, a third floor. You want to add something to the roof so you can go look outside and check out the stars. 305-433-4843. Because these are all the kind of things that some of our listeners have done over the years. 305-433-4843.
Renovation time. Renovation time.
Damn right. EJD Construction. All right. So it is renovation time. They are renovating the offense. So what did you see from number one son?
Who's number one? Oh, Tua. Okay. Oh, bro. If you didn't just tell me he was number one.
Number one son.
Be honest with you, I've never known Tua's number. Like, I literally, I was like, who's number one? I just literally looked down and it was like, oh, it's Tua. Like,
number one in your hearts, number one on the charts.
Good passes yesterday. They were all on Dolphins highlights. So if you follow the Dolphins social media accounts, you'll see the pass to Preston Williams where Nick Needham falls down and Preston runs it for a touchdown. They don't show you all of it, but because I love how they kept Nick Needham out of the frame so it doesn't embarrass him. But great play, great throw by Tua. No zip, all arc, which is what Tua does. Tua can put it in a bucket right where it needs to be. And then there were instances where over the middle of the field, and that's another highlight they have to Mike Gesicki, there was a little bit more velocity on his passes than what we saw at the end of the last two seasons. Now, will that be consistent? I don't know. Can't say. Just watched him for one day. But seems like there's a little bit of noticeable improvement. Would love to see what that looks like on a 15-yard out. Still haven't seen him throw a 15-yard out. Need to see it. Mike McDaniel, if you're watching this, give me a 15-yard out next week. And you know, if I see a 15-yard out with some zip on it, then I'll be like, okay, we're there. We got it. We got everything we need. But we'll see.
So overall, you like what you saw? I mean, listen, again, need pads, need rushing, need an opponent.
Yeah.
I think you'll get a better feel for the Philadelphia and the Bucks practices, I believe, right? Eagles and Bucks?
You know what? I don't worry so much about what the offense is going to look like because I have confidence in what Mike McDaniels is building because I've seen it, liked it, admired it everywhere that it's ever been. That's my style of offense. That's how I would play the game. That's how the type of team that I would build. The question is, do you have the parts for it? And clearly you got the wide receivers. You got 5 running backs. You pick whichever one you like. I like Ahmed Savan yesterday. Savan Ahmed. God damn it. I always mix that name up. So I was, when there are no pads, Savan Ahmed looks like the best back on the team. Then when pads come on, it's bye-bye. And so I like that.
There was a receiver, Brandon Jimmy Johnson brought him in, and he had like
Manning.
This,
No, that's Brian.
Yeah, something Manning. Yes,
Brian
it
Manning,
was
I think.
Brian Manning. That's it.
I wrote a big time feature on them with my first internship with the South Florida Sun Sentinel.
Yeah, he tore it up in camp, and then once he put on pads, like, yo, where's Brian? What happened to the kid? What happened to him? You know, it was one of those deals. And
yeah,
it was like everybody writing about him, and you know, it was just.
Savan did well.
That was the beauty of Arande. Arande wasn't signed in the middle of the offseason when they were running around in shorts. They signed him right at training camp. So he had to come in with pads and everything. And on that first catch that he caught, like right in the corner of the end zone, he landed those 2 feet in the corner. You're, okay, this guy's doing something right away because there was pads already. You know what I mean? He was already playing football, so he was ready to go.
I remember those Jimmy Johnson years where he'd let us right in the action. He'd be like, "Media, come here, media, come here, come look at this."
Jimmy was the best at that. I will get, and you know what? He, as much as he could be a dick at times, he like Pat Riley, he understood our job, so he'd always give us meat on the bone.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
So
he
knew how to play that game
to get his agenda out there. I love that.
Yeah, no, him and Riley, that shit doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. Very few people do that. But then again, there are very few coaches that have the juice that can do that publicly on a consistent basis, and you can't question it. You know what I mean? If Belichick wanted to do that, he could. You know what I mean? Mike McDaniel should not be doing something like that. You know what I'm saying? Guys that are unproven.
It's still important to use the media to get your agenda out there.
Yeah, but not the Jimmy Johnson and Pat Riley way.
No, like, oh my God, Pat Riley.
Pat Riley's calling his team shrinking violets.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. There's no way a coach nowadays says my team were shrinking violets last night. Like, no. That would never happen in today's world. But Pat Riley could do that. He could challenge you. You can't say shit. You know what I mean? Because there are certain coaches that, hey, bro, they've got the clout. You know, they've already earned it. And what are you going? Popovich says it. What are you going to do?
No, that's correct. That is
swallow it. Correct. You got to take it. It's over, bro. It's Popovich. You know, so certain guys, but that doesn't happen anymore, bro. Those kind of people are very few. And the ones available don't do that. All right. So, what did you see out of the receivers? Well, the flow in the offense, throws, those kind of things. He has been throwing to some of them. I don't know if it's all of them or whatever. Chemistry wise, did you see good flow in that?
Everybody, I liked what I saw from Teddy Bridgewater, Preston Williams. another guy who was killing it in practice. I really think he makes the roster, if not has an impact. If he can, basically learn the playbook. Showed you the talent that he had yesterday. Receivers, Mike Gesicki. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, passing game, maybe. We'll see.
Did you see a bigger player?
No. Mike is Mike. Mike still looks.
No, because it looked like he was kind of working on his arms the last time we saw him on the podium. It looked like, is he doing a little weights there at the top? You know what I'm saying?
When they put pads on and somebody asks Mike to block, I'll get back to you. Like, okay. Well, he can look as big as he wants. Mike can't block.
Well, that again, I'm not asking you that. All I asked you is, did you see any build on the body? That's it.
Still looks like a glorified receiver
on the body. That's
still looks like a glorified receiver. I didn't get to see him up close and personal. So next time I'm out there, I will look for it.
Like last night, Tyler Hero was flexing, the muscles.
I saw it at post game. Yeah,
that was funny. That was good.
Lynn Bowden wasn't practicing. Cedric Wilson wasn't practicing.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me stop you right there, because I was going to talk about this. I have a note here. I'm a little concerned about Lynn Bowden. You're really young. Hamstrings kept you on the sideline last year, and you lost out on an opportunity. Hamstrings are continuing to keep you on the sideline now again.
I can't remember.
Yeah, well, apparently that's what it was last year, hamstring, and now it's another hamstring again. Young man, these are out of talent, but if durability is an issue now at this age, that is a concern for me right now. That he had a hammy last year, and now he has another hammy now. I'm a little worried for him there, because it's hard. This is a really deep receiving core.
These things happen. I can't tell you. I found Mike McDaniel's answer to a question about Lynn Bowden Jr. interesting, which was basically like, when we see him, we'll kind of evaluate.
Right, he's battling a hamstring injury. He was saying, it's like,
guys get hurt all the time, guys.
I know, but dude, you were hurt all last year. You should be.
He wasn't hurt all last year. He was prematurely and irresponsibly put on IR, and I said that when it happened, and stand by it, and call Flo and Greer out on it. Like that was
no, that's Flo's move, not Greer's move.
Okay. Listen, there's one person responsible for the roster, and that's Chris Greer. I'm not letting him off the hook.
No, he's responsible for drafting of the roster. The other moron was the one that was responsible of destroying the roster. And then, no, I don't want that guy. No, give me Kyle Van Noy. No, I don't want Kyle Van Noy. No, give me Eric Flood. No, I don't want
Eric. So tell me who traded for Lynn Bowden then.
I don't know who. Obviously, he traded for him, but he didn't play him. He thought he wasn't good enough and put him on the IR. So obviously he thought he was injured.
He wasn't good enough. He really sucked in training camp. And
so that's my point, that if you didn't get it done last year and you're dealing with an injury and now it's another injury, kid, you better figure that injury out by training camp, because you got no shot at making this team, because you haven't shown anything yet. And as much as all of us are intrigued with his talent, you got to get on the field, bro.
You got to learn the playbook. So we'll.
There it is. Yeah. Hang up on those people. How about Eazy-E? What'd you see from Eazy-E yesterday?
Eazy-E. Nothing.
Okay. All right.
Nothing.
Did you like how he moved for a bigger guy? Does he move well?
He was okay.
Didn't see anything? Okay.
Didn't see anything. Didn't make any plays. Didn't see anything.
Okay. All right. Anything else that stood out on the receiving side? Or didn't?
Receiving, no, Waddle and Tyreek and Preston. That's it.
Okay. All right. When are you guys inquiring about the damn race?
We did yesterday.
I know you talk with the coach, but I'm saying the players. Got to stir it up with the players, bro.
Listen,
And by the way,
they know
if they want, I can get it produced and get it sponsored too. We can do that. We can put it on Fox Sports or something. We gotta let's milk this thing, bro.
Listen, it supposedly he wants it at the end of training camp. So we'll see. We'll see if they make it. Not training camp, the end of the offseason program. We'll see if we can make it happen during mandatory minicamp. The only concern McDaniel has is that guys who should be in the race, like Mostert, aren't healthy enough to be in the race. So
right, yeah. And they're hoping Mostert is ready, hopefully by middle of training camp, preseason, something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm still trying to, and it can be easily resolved, but I'm still trying to get to the bottom of what his injury was. Like,
was it an ACL?
No,
I thought it was an ACL.
According to Tua's trainer, which Tua's trainer is
Nick.
Yeah, according to Nick, it was like cartilage, not a knee.
Oh,
and that's not what I'm reading. So it's a little bit fishy. I'll clear it up when I get a chance to. But it doesn't seem like this is something that's gonna take him into the regular season. But I've always felt like the best thing that you could do is begin training camp by putting injured guys on PUP, and then allowing them to ease their way into the work. But we'll see.
Did you ask Brett Tessler what it is?
No, I said that's why I said it could be easily cleared up with Brett. You know what? The funny thing is,
Brett doesn't bullshit. He doesn't play those games.
Yeah, but most agents do not talk about injuries. That's the one thing that I have. But I'll ask Brett.
But that's documented. That's stuff that's already.
No, it's documented as an ACL. It's documented as an ACL.
Okay, that's what I thought.
People are now saying that it was not an ACL. Now it's, I've heard athletes lie about their injuries timeless times. So I don't really know what to believe.
No, I got you. Yeah, it's it's true.
And we never asked Mostert specifically what it was because I thought it was an ACL. We thought it was an ACL. It was reported as an ACL. And that all I can go off is what's been reported. I mean, if it was a cartilage, I don't know cartilage. I've never heard of a cartilage injury on a knee. So I've never heard of it. So
you haven't, or you have
not. Of course. Have not.
People lose cartilage all the time. It's a bad thing actually, because that's you'd almost rather bust up a ligament and replace the ligament, because you cannot replace the cartilage. The only way to replace the cartilage is by doing that thing that Terrell Davis tried to do, and others, where they regrow the cartilage and then they put it into your knee. I forgot the name of that procedure, but that's kind of like they take a cadaver's
cartilage or something like that. And I know he mentioned in his press conference, I think he said he did the same thing Xavier did. And Xavier had some experimental surgery that obviously took.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what.
I forgot the name of that procedure, but that's once you start losing cartilage, that's what gets to bone on bone, and that's what the itis is. The tendonitis, arthritis, what was the other itis that they developed? There's 3 itises. I forgot which one, the other itis I'm missing. But yeah, that's once you start missing the cartilage, that's the buffer between the bones in the knees and everything. And so then that's when it becomes an ugly situation. 6193 is stirring it up here on the chat board now. He wants you to see, because I know the real reason why Le'Veon Bell is, was no longer part of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now they want you to find that out. Now that you ruined my $1 million with, Jordan Love, that I wanted $1 million in Bitcoin, which, by the way, you owe me a fucking $1 million in Bitcoin, by the way. Okay. Cause you
wait on it. Okay. Yeah.
And then I want 100,000 to tell the real story about Le'Veon Bell, why the Steelers got rid of his ass. Nobody's ever really actually reported the real story, but since you're part-time with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, I think they want you to find out now what's the deal with that? So I don't know. What can I tell you? But don't ruin it for me, bro. Okay, I need 100,000 in Bitcoin for this one. I'm not going to go $1 million this time, but you already owe me $1 million. So don't go ruining my other 100,000 for Bitcoin. Okay.
Oh, so you know the reason you're not saying?
Of course, I can't say. What do you want me to do, bro? I couldn't say the Jordan Love thing either. I was sworn to it. What can I do? You know how it is, bro. You've been sworn to at times. There are things you probably know you can't say still to this day.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to piss people off. They told me to keep it quiet. Nobody's ever reported it. So
goddamn.
They know I know, and it's never gotten out. So it's what I mean? So I can't tell anybody. So that's the excuse me, that's the amazing part. That story's never gone out of Pittsburgh. Nobody really knows why Le'Veon Bell is not in Pittsburgh. Why they kicked his ass out.
Kicked out a lot of people.
I know, but
the
reason why they kicked him out, I'm amazed that nobody ever has actually unearthed that story. So
anyway. What was I going to tell you? Yeah. The one thing, yeah, it's funny you mentioned stories that nobody's ever unearthed. Arian Foster, we had him on I Am Athlete Tonight last week, and I just asked him about because he abruptly retired during the season when he was playing with the Dolphins.
That's right. Yes. Go ahead.
That answer was unreal. We put it out on social media, but he basically was like he was standing on the sidelines during one of those games. He was injured, so he wasn't playing, and it was kind of the emergence of Jay Ajayi. And he said he was standing on the sideline, and he realized there was a physics book that he would rather read than actually be playing in the game. And he was just like, yeah, I'm done. And he says his father, who played the game, was like, you'll know when you're done. And I just thought that was such an amazing story. That's one of the questions that I will now forever ask all retired athletes when I talk to them. Like, when did you know you were done? When did you, I'd love to ask that question to Zach Thomas.
Yeah, it's a brutally honest moment for them, because they either lost the love or they realized that they lost their edge. That
lost their ability. Yeah.
And it's
and the thing is, so many players. So many players have shame about the ending, but half the time you're talking to these players and they played 11, 12, 13, 14 years in the NFL. I'm like, you've had 3 times the average career. You should have absolutely no shame about anything you've accomplished. If you've hit double digits, people don't realize how hard it is to hit double digits as a professional athlete.
That's near impossible, bro.
Much less a football player. Once they hit 30, imagine the politics they got to play. They either got to be really elite or they got to be some hell of a politics player, because these teams, you're 30, all right, time to push you out the door. And that's just the nature of this league, which is ridiculous. But
I'm with you there. All right, what are you working on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Column on really about leadership, mentoring, the anti-Ryan Tannehills.
I don't really know if I want Tannehill teaching me if I'm the other quarterback anyway. So, it is what it is. So, there are positives to it too at the same time. That's the way Malik has got to look at it. Okay. Positives there,
I'm sorry, you're threatened for your job. So anyway, let me not even get that. That was the weakest thing I've ever heard.
No, I think you should pass your knowledge on to everybody, no matter what, bro.
I agree with you.
That person is not at fault for anything. They're trying to survive too. So,
and the sad thing is, I worked once with a coworker who shall not be named, and who felt threatened by me in my existence. Eventually he was right, but I didn't look at it that way. And
oh God, I got that a bunch of times from all kinds of people. So
yeah, he didn't share anything. He wanted to, play like Lord of the Rings, My Precious, and I'm sorry, that's no way to create a working environment. No,
right.
Zero.
Yeah.
And
yeah, no.
It's just horrible.
Yeah, no, it's sad. I've never been like that myself. I've always been the guy that helps and shares with anybody and everybody in the business.
Because you know what, you never know. Like, I'll tell you right now, because I've had 16 billion partners covering the Dolphins. One of my partners right now, he left me to go do a management job, and now he's running like a whole branch of newspapers. If I ever need a job, I can call Izzy Gould.
Okay.
It's like,
right.
Like, bro, don't like. You never know. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, that's never been me. I've always helped anybody and everybody that's been involved in my business that I could help, whether it's been a writer, whether it's been somebody on radio or anything. I've always been. Yeah, there you go.
I'm
always
flexing like Bam and Hero.
And Tyler. Last night they flexed it, baby. They played like the stars that they are yesterday, especially Butler, man. Butler was just a monster yesterday.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Imagine if he helps, because I really do believe they have a good chance of winning the championship. Because they're a team. They're a good team.
Legitimate. Yes.
If you listen to the I Am Athlete episode this week, which is Kyrie Irving, he talks about when he was with the Cavs and what went wrong there and why they never won another championship. And he blamed himself because he was going through something and he wasn't open enough or honest enough to tell guys what was going on and to lean on LeBron. But basically he said, we were a good collection of individuals, but we weren't a good team. And he's like, at that level of the game, he's like, team is what's going to win. And listening to that, I was just like, this Heat team might be the best team that I've ever seen in all of sports. When I'm saying team, like collection of individuals minimizing themselves for the greater good, like undoubtable. Like, I don't think they can miss. I don't think there's an individual that they can go without that the collection of team could make up for. That's just because that's how they are.
No, you love the way that these guys have bonded together and play for each other. It's a lot of fun to watch, and because they're willing to sell out offensively and defensively for each other, that's what's going to give them a chance to actually go all the way. And listen, if you're a Heat fan, bro, you got to pull for Dallas. You know that, right? You got to pull for Dallas, right, Elmar? You know why, right? Do you know why? Yeah. No, you know why? Because Miami will have home court against Dallas. They will not have home court against Golden State. So
I didn't know that. But
you want Dallas to win.
I don't want any Steph Curry.
I mean, Luka's a bitch too right now, bro.
Steph Curry's got a better team around him. But
no,
yes.
I get it. No, you're right. And they got the pedigree. They've got the rings. So there's experience there too. So obviously, but I mean, for Miami purposes, they have a better record than Dallas, not a better record than Golden State. So we eliminated Phoenix, who had the best record. Now you got to go with Golden State, eliminate them, the second best record, because Miami is the third best record in the league. So one more here. So let's hope Luka can pull it off, man. The fight between Mark Cuban and Lil Wayne is actually a little better. That's actually good.
Man, they celebrated a championship together. I'll never forgive Lil Wayne for that.
Well, Lil Wayne was going for Phoenix. So
yeah.
And then Cuban like took shots at him, and then Lil Wayne got pissed at him, threatened to pee down his throat or something.
Did he?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he got nasty. He took it down after. It's out there. It's out there. I've got the
Wow.
story. Yeah, he got a little out of. He tried to act like Mr. Tough Guy. His
Mark
bodyguards
Cuban?
are Mr. Tough Guy, not him. Okay, but whatever. He can act whatever he wants. What's he weigh? Like 110? Anyway,
No,
follow
about
him on Twitter. What 125?
140.
Yeah,
Well,
he doesn't
no,
look
about
like,
130.
yeah, he doesn't look like a big dude.
No, he's not.
Follow him on Twitter at Omar Kelly and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel, and of course doing his thing at I Am Athlete. You'll be on Friday on I Am
That's
Athlete.
correct.
There you go, on Sirius. So check it out. Omar, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Right.
We'll talk later in the week.
All right.
You got it. There you go. Omar Kelly.
You've been listening to the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins Report with Omar Kelly. For additions, home remodeling, or custom work, call Eric at 305-433-4843. EJDconstruction.com is the custom home builder and general contractor you can trust. 305-433-4843.
Go. By the way, that story of Lil Wayne and Mark Cuban. So Lil Wayne developed an unsavory beef with Mark Cuban during the NBA Western Conference semifinals. After some back and forth on social media, Weezy finally had enough. On Tuesday, Lil Wayne hit up his Twitter account to respond to Mark Cuban's recent tweet about the Dallas Mavericks win over the Suns in Game 7 of the Western Conference semifinals. On Sunday night, in an angry response, Wayne appeared to threaten Cuban by claiming he'll get him, smack him, and issue a stern warning. Says, Mark Cuban, don't make me get you smacked, boy. You playing with me, I'll piss in your mouth. So he was trolling him because Mark Cuban put on a tweet. He put it's a shit show. Put you in the front row. And it was Lil Wayne watching, his Suns against his Mavs. And so, Wayne was taking his shots. So Cuban took his shots, and then Wayne then started to, take it to another level because obviously he's a sore loser. Lil Wayne, buddy, you weigh like 140 pounds. I get it. You can have someone kick Mark Cuban's ass. Not that you could literally kick anyone's ass. You weigh 140 pounds, dude. Okay? It's like easy to grab your ass and just throw you against the wall and ragdoll you. You're not a tough guy. You may have bodyguards that are tough, but a lot of these rappers, right? They're really tough because they've got guns and they've got bodyguards and all that. Most of them, you get them all by themselves somewhere, and they'd probably pee in their pants. That's probably what they do. But there's a lot of brave people nowadays because they have guns, because they have bodyguards. That really makes you a really tough dude. If you want to joke around, Lil Wayne, you got to be able to take it, my brother. So if you want to go at Mark Cuban, and then Mark Cuban's going to come at you, you know what I'm saying? And you're not ready for it, and you can't take it, got to be ready for it, bro. Threatening the guy with violence. Why? Because your son's lost? What'd you do, lose money? I mean, yeah, everybody's tough with a gun. Everybody's tough with bodyguards. Not one of them are tough when they're all alone, because it takes men. That's the difference. That's what's lacking in this world. Men. We need a lot of men in this world. They don't stand by their women. They don't stand by their families. They don't protect our communities. They hurt our communities. That's the problem in our world. We don't have enough men. Okay? That's why we got a lot of broken families, because we don't have men that live up to responsibilities. By the way, speaking of Lil Wayne, little music. Today on May 18th, back in 1980, Joy Division singer Ian Curtis died by suicide in England at the age of 23. He had the Iggy Pop album, The Idiot, playing on a stereo with a note that read, "At this very moment, I wish I were dead. I just can't cope anymore." It's 1980. And these are the things that, like, you just didn't know about depression and didn't understand it. We didn't talk about it. And now people are more willing to talk about it. And it's better that you can talk about it instead of suffering in that darkness by yourself. It's always better to reach out to a friend or a family member. So if you are suffering like Ian Curtis did, back in the day, or you're doing it right now, please reach out to somebody you love. In 1966, the year I was born, on this date, Bruce Springsteen spent his first day recording as part of the band The Castiles. The group laid down the track That's What You Get and the Mr. Music Inc. studio in Bricktown, New Jersey. That's where it was recorded. In 1991, on this date, REM had the number one song in the country with Out of Time. Number one album, in the country with Out of Time. In 1967, on this date, the Rolling Stones recorded We Love You. Paul McCartney and John Lennon contributed backing vocals. This was kind of interesting. In 1985, Simple Minds had the number one song in the country with Don't You Forget About Me. I was thinking about this. What is the ultimate 80s anthem song? Would it be Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me? I mean, there's a lot of songs that you can think of that are so 80s that you could call it the theme song of that decade, right? Several songs in the 80s we could probably think of. Simple Minds has to be in that list, in that argument, right? Don't You Forget About Me. By the way, if you're not old enough, I hate to exclude you from this. You cannot be in that conversation, okay? Because you have to actually live the decade and experience the decade in order to really talk about the decade. If you didn't live it, literally live it, not that you were 5 years old. I'm talking about it. Actually, you were a teenager, an adult during that time, that you could actually live it. But that has to be like, we could have discussions about this and go back and forth, but there aren't a lot of songs that we could say go in front of Don't You Forget About Me that you would say, this is the ultimate 80s song. That one just might be the ultimate number one song and anthem of the 80s. Okay? Tack Love thinks it's In the Air Tonight. It's a pretty good one, pretty good one. I can't say that's a bad song. That's a great song. It was a great song. It went with the Miami Vice stuff back in the day. Just like Don't You Forget About Me was an amazing song by Simple Minds, and then obviously the Breakfast Club and all of that made it even that much more legendary. But when I was reading the history of today in music, I was like, man, that song has to be top 2, top 3. If we had to come down to a discussion of the ultimate 80s song, that's got to be there. Back in 1982 on this date, Joe Strummer reappeared after fleeing the Clash and moving to Paris for a month. He claimed his disappearance was due to exhaustion and doubts about his career. Those are some of the things that were important and why music matters. In May 18th. All right. There you go. Do I have any other music notes? Oh, by the way, have you heard Journey's new song? It's called Let It Rain from their new album. I like it, by the way. It's got an edge to it. It's not Journey. It actually has more influences of early Journey, actually, than Steve Perry Journey. A jam, a song with an edge. Okay. We've used it a lot. You should have a little Edge energy drink, myedgedrink.com, 10% off, by the way. No, but seriously, not your typical like Journey song. So go to YouTube, or I don't know, maybe it's on Twitter or whatever. Look for the Journey song called Let It Rain. New song. Pretty cool. I like it, man. I like it. Sloman says, has no one suggested Don't Stop Believing? That's right there. Right there. Don't Stop Believing. Nobody has suggested it, but that's one. You know, a friend of mine said, we got the beat from the Go-Go's. I mean, there's a couple songs that you could have some fun with in the 80s, and that's definitely one of them right there. Okay? Party All the Time from Eddie Murphy is not. Tears for Fears, Tony Zagales. Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Another one. Like those are some of those songs. Mr. Spock, No One Like You from the Scorpions is not in there. But if you wanted to throw Rock You Like a Hurricane, I can understand. I won't put it at the level of Don't Stop Believing, Don't You Forget About Me, and what was the other one that you guys just sent in right now that I thought was exceptional? Everybody Wants to Rule the World. That's a pretty good one. Oh, OMD. If you leave, don't leave now. Yeah, that I got to say, that might be one because that's in 16 Candles. If You Leave is just one of those iconic 80s songs. That could also be, I like that one. I like that one. That one could be in the discussion. You can't put Enola Gay from them, but that one from OMD, you can. Working for the Weekend, pretty good. I don't know if I'd put it up there with those other ones. That's pretty good. Tainted Love, man. Woo! That's a good one right there. I got to say, I didn't think of Tainted Love, but man, that is a iconic song. Tainted Love from the 80s. That's a pretty good one. Soft Cell? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Take On Me from Aha. Very 80s. Groundbreaking video. When that video first came out, the editing of Cartoon Alive and all that stuff, that was groundbreaking. That was something that was kind of new to the video mode. So yeah, that might be one you kind of include in there. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. You guys have come up with some really, really good ones. But that's when I thought about that, Don't You Forget About Me. I was like, man, that's just one of those songs from the 80s that it just kind of defines that entire, decade. So cool. Great discussion. Glad you guys came up with a bunch of really, really good ones there that I like. What else did I have to say here on the program? Also, I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to get too much into it. But by the way, did you guys see the Zach Davis story of his wife coming out about their affair and all? I got to tell you, if you want to look up a crazy story, MLB pitcher Zach Davis and his wife, and affair and divorce and all that. And look at the tweet that woman put. I feel bad for her, but again, men, kind of lack real men. We don't have enough of them in our world, unfortunately. Well, on Friday, we're going to be out at KSDT CPAs, a proud sponsor of our program. And they do so much at KSDT CPAs, folks, from helping you if you're going to buy a new business and you need to find out, am I doing the right thing? Is this business profitable? Are they really selling what they're saying? Are these numbers legitimate? KSDT CPAs will help you in that process before you take that giant step to find out what you're purchasing is the right thing. That business is profitable. If you're trying to set up the latter part of your life with the will, whether it's a business, whether it's personal, KSDT CPAs can help you. It's not just about your taxes personally or for your business. There's so many more things. Please go to their website at ksdtcpas.com. We'll be there on Friday. When sports and business collide, that's when you get the KSDT CPA Sports Business Report. By the way, this is an amazing story. And why? Because it kind of mirrors what we're doing here. You know, traditional radio is dying. People just don't stay listening to radio anymore. Why are you going to listen to an 8-minute segment followed by a 9-minute commercial break? And so it happens that, you know, in an hour, you're listening to about 27 minutes of material and 33 minutes of commercials, traffic reports, you know, updates, all kinds of just crap that you don't need. You can get it from your phone. You don't need any of that. So as you notice here on our show, we're not loaded with a bunch of commercials. You might get 4 or 5 minutes of commercials in an entire hour. You get content. And what do podcasts provide? They provide content. What does radio? Radio doesn't provide content. That's why radio is dying. Well, the podcast advertising business is continuing upward its trajectory. The U.S. ad sales expected to grow 47% this year to $2.13 billion, according to a new forecast by IAB and PwC. That's actually a deceleration from last year. The sector hit $1.45 billion in 2021, representing a 72% growth. According to the report, in 2021, U.S. podcasting advertising revenue grew twice as fast as the total internet advertising market, which was up 35%, according to the 2021 Internet Advertising Revenue Report. Still, U.S. podcasting advertising revenue is poised to continue double-digit growth. How about that? Growing more than 100% in the next 2 years to an estimated $4.2 billion in 2024. According to the latest report, the 3 key factors are driving podcast ad revenue growth, the ongoing increase of listeners, content. While morons on radio continue to repeat segments, continue to replay interviews, we don't do that. We continue to give you new content. We move on to the next subject. We talk about the next subject because the listener wants to hear about the next one. They don't want you to talk about the running back situation for 2 hours. They don't need to hear about a segment that you had 5 months ago that you enjoyed or a year ago. That's stupidity. That's a waste of time. That's why they're dying. That's why they're practically dead. That's why podcasting, what we do every day, is the future or the now, however you want to look at it. But $4.2 billion. You don't sit there and watch television anymore. You go to your DVR, you go to your YouTube, you go and you speed through the commercials. It's a whole different ballgame. The way you reach people and the way advertising works nowadays. It's different. And if you don't adjust, you will die. And that's why radio is practically dead. And people get in their cars and they go to their favorite podcast and they're locked in and they're captured audiences too. Because on radio, you'll go on a commercial break and you'll start channel surfing. On a podcast, there's no commercial breaks. And here, if I break, I tell you, oh, give me 30 seconds, 15 seconds, a minute. You're going to wait because I'm not breaking for long. We don't do that here. It's about content. You guys tell me, hey, did you talk about this? What do I tell you? Do I repeat it? No. I tell you, go rewind. That's what we tell you. It's not that we want to be rude. It's that we want to move on and we have to give you new content. It's not about spending the next 2 to 3 hours or 4 hours on a radio shift repeating everything that you've done already. People can go back and listen to that. You don't need to repeat it. But if you want to keep doing it, thank you very much, and we'll keep burying you like we've buried all radio stations already here locally in South Florida. We're throwing dirt on them right now as we speak. Let's see. So, Big O, who will the Finns play in the Super Bowl? Does it really matter? Doesn't matter. Whoever wants to get their asses kicked and embarrassed in the Super Bowl will show up. That's my answer to you. Okay? Anyone in the NFC that wants to be thoroughly embarrassed in Arizona, show up. My Dolphins will be hoisting the Super Bowl. He will be hosting and hoisting the Super Bowl right there. Tua Tagovailoa, Super Bowl bound. Tua Tagovailoa. He is son number one. Even though Omar Kelly has no idea what I was talking. Does he ever understand anything we talk about on this show? He doesn't get any pop culture references. I mean, I don't. How do you have a conversation with that man outside of football? Seriously. I've never met anybody that, I don't know, out of touch with pop culture. And he's not, I get it if I'm talking to somebody older than me. Right. For the last 20 years, I've done Tuesdays on WNSP in Mobile, right? Because they're friends of mine and all that. And Lee Shervanian is one of the hosts there. And he's older than I am. And so, and we bust Lee's balls all, and he's such a great sport about it, right? Because he doesn't even know how to use, he barely knows how to use text, you know what I mean? Emails, whatever. He's not close to being Joe Rose is like that too. It's like he doesn't know any of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But Joe, at least to his credit, he follows some other things that not even Omar is lost. Even I think Joe Rose might know more pop culture references than Omar Kelly. That's weird. Oh, Lordy. Have you ever had Barry Jackson on the show? No, he doesn't do radio. Let's see. He only does radio when he's like hosting for, hey, man, what's wrong with you? What are you doing there? Anyway, so he only I think he used to do some stuff at 790 or something. That's it. Big O, how quickly do you think the scheme clicks for the offense? It all depends on the O-line, my friend. That's really the key. I don't believe that the skill guys will have an issue with it. I think it's more about the O-line figuring that out. And please, that's right. Chad is right. Please keep hitting the like button. It is very important. All right. Anyway. Oh, did I finish? That is our KSDT Sports Business Report.
This has been the KSDT Sports Business Report. KSDT CPA is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax and accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit online at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
All right, there we go. Looking, we're going to see. Those were the only two stories so far he's broken, and he did them both during our show. And I'm talking about Ian Rappaport. I was just looking at his Twitter feed. All right, we are absolutely loaded and ready to go tomorrow. We'll be live at Hialeah Park. Remember, we'll be in the second floor poker room. They serve some great food. Lovely ladies serving you drinks there, all that good stuff. So if you guys want to come on, I would love to make it a thing on Thursdays there in that second floor because there's so many tables and chairs there. They serve great food. The ambiance is so casual, relaxing, great way for us to meet and hang out, take pictures and stuff like that. So if you're more than welcome Thursdays, man, to come on out and join us at Hialeah Park. Sean Stanley does a great job of mastering this program every single day. We thank Ian Rappaport. We thank Ira Winderman and Clay Ferraro. Omar Kelly. If you missed any of the interviews or shows, because obviously Sloman's Inside the Paint is a show for an hour of hardcore basketball, you can get them all podcasted. They will also be posted individually on video there on our channel, on our YouTube channel. We thank all of you as always, keeping us locked. We love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a good one.